deserves a badge of shame on you because you are enabling things like this to happen.
Soundbites like those have been on the air almost nonstop for a week now. Also today, outside the White House, gun control advocates conducted what they call a lie-in to demand stronger gun laws. The nuance here is critical. Gun control advocates want new measures like banning assault rifles. Republican proposals focus on better enforcement of already existing laws.
Just because the laws could not have done anything to prevent it doesn't mean that we can't have a debate on those laws anyway, and it doesn't mean there's nothing we can do.
One of the House stalwart conservatives who ran on a strong Second Amendment platform, he's also a grandfather, told me, quoting here, "I'm beginning to worry we are on the wrong side of history on this." That said, Mike, as you know, after the Las Vegas shooting, there was near instant bipartisan agreement on banning bump stocks. That legislation has so far gone precisely nowhere.
Yeah, we'll see if this time's different, Leland. What do you have? What have you learned about the president's tweet about Russians, quote, laughing their asses off at the success of their election meddling?
Well, he had a lot of tweets about that. He also talked about why President Obama didn't want to sound the alarm bell too loudly for fear of being labeled as in the tank for Hillary.
On October 7th, that was the same day as the Access Hollywood video, and all the talk that weekend after our statement was, when is Trump going to withdraw from the race? How much longer does he have? And so that was clearly a backdrop.
A high-ranking ex-Soviet bloc diplomat tells Fox News the Russians were quite surprised that the Obama administration and American intelligence agencies didn't do more or couldn't figure out what was happening in real time. The diplomat, who maintains very close ties to Russian intelligence, says the hacking scheme succeeded far beyond the Kremlin's dreams. You might remember the president's tweet from this weekend where he said the Russians were, quote, laughing their asses off in Moscow. This diplomat, Mike, told me he was in a meeting with Russian intelligence officials who were doing just that over their success.
Our Leland Vittert leading us off tonight. Leland, many thanks. The president returning to the White House tonight after a weekend tweeting about everything from Oprah to DACA to the Russian indictments, and right before he left Florida about former President Obama. White House correspondent Kevin Corke following the tweet storm for us tonight, and he joins us now.
Mike, good evening from West Palm Beach, Florida. What a difference a day makes, right? Today, just the one tweet about Russia from the president. Compare that with the weekend where we saw him tweeting virtually nonstop about the Russia investigation. It was a digital deluge. A defiant President Trump's weekend tweet storm ran the gamut of topics, but the Russia investigation clearly was front and center. If it was the goal of Russia to create discord, disruption, and chaos within the U.S., they have succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They're laughing their asses off in Moscow. The president's foray into the Twitterverse was just his latest attempt to draw a contrast between his constant refrain of no Russia collusion with the ongoing Russia probe, which, despite the recent indictments of more than a dozen Russian nationals, is ongoing. Predictably, today the Kremlin rejected the notion that they were interfering with America's elections.
It looks like accusations have been made, but no evidence was presented. So when Americans say that Russia does not acknowledge obvious facts, for us, these aren't obvious and aren't facts yet.
Even a member of the president's own cabinet wasn't spared from the wave of Russia-related criticism. Case in point, this comment from its national security advisor at a security summit in Germany.
And as you can see with the FBI indictment, the evidence is now really incontrovertible and available in the public domain.
The president chided McMaster, writing, "Forgot to say the results of the 2016 election were not impacted or changed by the Russians." Whether or not votes were changed or the election impacted by Russian interference is still anyone's guess. However, the fact that the indictments allege the Russians have been targeting the U.S. since 2014 drew this question from the president today. Obama was president up to and beyond the 2016 election. So why didn't he do something about Russian meddling? Exactly what the former president and his senior intelligence cadre knew about Russian meddling long before the 2016 election calls into question who could have or should have done something to stop it.
Obama was in a very difficult position. He did not want to make it appear that he was favoring Hillary Clinton. maybe he should have done more.
But while Mr. Trump asserts the new indictments mean he's in the clear, some warn that may not be the case.
Congressman, you've seen the intelligence. Do you think that this indictment suggests that it's a case closed, no collusion?
No, of course not. But this is a president who claims vindication anytime someone sneezes.
One more note, Mike, about the Obama administration and what it knew or didn't know about Russian meddling back in 2016. Former Vice President Joe Biden has said they were walking a constant tightrope over how much or how little to say about what they knew with regard to Russian meddling. Critics have argued, and critics in particular in the Trump administration, that since then they have said decidedly too little, far too late. Mike?
Kevin Corke reporting from West Palm Beach, Florida. Kevin, thank you. And just a short while ago, the president tweeting more, this time on the economy, saying it's better than he anticipated and, quote, companies are pouring back into our country, reversing the long-term trend of leaving. Mr. Trump also tweeting tonight an unexpected endorsement for Mitt Romney, saying, quote, he will make a great senator and worthy successor to Orrin Hatch and has my full support and endorsement. So with the president thinking of heading to dinner with journalists and now exchanging pleasantries with Romney, let's find out what to make of all this with Fox News politics editor and editor of the Halftime Report, Chris Stirewalt. For those of you scoring home, we are also office roommates.
True.
Very clean guy.
Brothers from another mother. That's right.
All right, so tweet storm over the weekend, lots of frustration about Russia, and then tonight, hey, the economy's looking up, and Mitt Romney?
Look, first thing is Shannon's gone one night, and you guys are already saying ASS on television. I don't think she would have gone for it.
That's fair.
think she would have gone for it.
Fair.
I'm going to rat you out as soon as she gets back. I would say this. Politicians are politicians. Mitt Romney once said that he would have never accepted Donald Trump's endorsement in 2012 if he had known what a terrible guy he was. Donald Trump said that Mitt Romney was a choker and a loser and terrible. And now, because politics is mostly dishonesty with some policy at the end. They both are now saying flattering things about each other and, of course, frustrating their base supporters as they do so. But this looks like two guys trying to get out of each other's way. Romney's essentially, I don't want to say a shoe-in, but Romney is in a very good position for this Senate seat in Utah. Sure. And Trump doesn't want to deal with him. He doesn't want to deal with Trump. So this looks like them trying to go their separate ways.
Peaceful coexistence heading into the 2018 midterms?
Until Romney gets to Washington. And then their existence will be less peaceful.
Okay, so Vanity Fair is out with a piece tonight, and they said that essentially Republican lawmakers are in a bit of a pickle going into 2018. I saw this quote. I want to get your reaction to it. They say, quote, so Republican candidates are facing an impossible strategic choice, tack toward Trump and potentially lose the center, or forego Trumpian red meat and watch the base stay home. What say you, sir?
So in every race, in the Senate and the House, the question is, will Republicans let their members do what they need to do to try to save seats? Mitch McConnell gave an interview to the New York Times that appeared over the weekend and basically said, wake up, guys. No matter how good the generic ballot looks, no matter what changes, this is the first midterm of a president of our own party, and it's going to be rough. The wind is going to be in our face. So McConnell is obviously ready to let somebody like Dean Heller in Nevada say something different than somebody's going to say in Alabama and around the country. Let people meet their constituencies, which is something Democrats are struggling with right now. How far to let people go off from script. Then we'll find out whether the president is of as generous a heart with the members of his own party. But there are in 435 House districts, there are 435 different kind of candidates that are needed to run those races.
All right. In your fantastic halftime report letter, you came out with some advice for folks. 5 points. Let's put them on the screen. 1, be generous. 2, be specific. 3, be personal without personalizing. 4, be prepared. 5, be courageous. Can you give us some of your thinking on this, Mr. Stirewalt?
So all we wanted to do today, just a plea. The great Breonna McClelland and I we try to bring a patriotic spirit to the note every day. And here's the deal. Whether you like Trump, dislike Trump, are Republican or a Democrat, the Russians want something out of you. And what they want out of you in this case is to demean, disparage, and belittle your fellow Americans, to be miserly with your praise, to be generous with your blame, to always seek the wrong in the other person and never find anything wrong with yourself. That's the kind of discourse that destroys, now our republics not being destroyed, but that's the kind of discourse that destroys republics. Our encouragement is, and this is a very straightforward idea, our encouragement is when we say be courageous, we mean to open your mind to other points of view. Yep. And the most important thing that you can do is be generous of spirit. Don't question other people's patriotic spirit automatically. You can't just immediately say, well, if this person disagrees with me, they don't love the country. Right. You've got to start from a point of view that says, every American's trying to make this country better until they prove otherwise.
Fox News halftime report.
So good.
Got to get it.
Smells like cinnamon in your inbox. You just can't get enough.
Chris Stirewalt. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, brother.
You may have seen a report tonight that Special Counsel Robert Mueller is interested in Jared Kushner's attempts to secure foreign financing for his company during the presidential transition. It's been reported by some that Mueller has been looking at the president's son-in-law and advisor for his contacts with Russia. Kushner's attorney blasting the new report, quote, another anonymous source with questionable motives now contradicts the facts in all of Mr. Kushner's extensive cooperation with all inquiries. Yet another Republican calling it quits tonight. Florida Congressman Tom Rooney announcing this evening he will not be seeking re-election after serving 5 terms. Quote, it's time to hang him up, as my old football coach used to say, Rooney said in a statement. Once seen as a rising star, Rooney never hid his frustration with gridlock in this town. He is now the 28th House Republican to announce retirement from Congress. The Attorney General says the Justice Department will investigate alleged FISA abuse by the Obama administration in the run-up to the 2016 presidential election. Jeff Sessions emphasizing the need for every ultra-secret surveillance warrant submitted to the court to be accurate and promising nothing less than proper disclosure on his watch. She may not be planning to run, but is she campaigning? Oprah Winfrey says respect for the U.S. is eroding around the world, and President Trump is firing back. A man says, hey, me too. Trace Gallagher investigates allegations against a California Democrat who fired a male staffer for refusing to play Spin the Bottle. And could he have a change of heart? Is Mike Flynn considering reversing his guilty plea? We'll take a look when Night Court convenes.
Friends, colleagues, gathered here are the world's finest insurance experts. Rodney, mastermind of discounts like Safe Driver, Paperless, the list goes on.
How about a discount for long lists?
Gold. Mara, you save our customers hundreds for switching almost effortlessly.
It's a gift.
And Jamie.
Present.
Together, we are unstoppable. So, what are we gonna do? Insurance. That's kind of what we do here.
This is Fracture. Just upload an image, place your order, and it'll show up at your door, beautifully printed directly on glass. And this isn't just another frame, not just another canvas. This is new. This is a Fracture. Visit FractureMe.com and print one today.
Are you hiring great people or hoping for great people?
I get more talented people through the door through Indeed than any other job search that I use.
Indeed delivers 6 times more hires than any other job site. It's no wonder over 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring.
Indeed.com just gives me so many more qualified applicants to choose from.
Post a job in minutes, and Indeed will help you zero in on just the right candidates, so you can hire faster.
Nothing has ever been this easy, this simple, and this effective.
Plus, there are no upfront costs or long-term contracts.
Does it get any better than that? I don't think so.
To accelerate your hiring, Indeed offers premium placement to give your listing more exposure to relevant job seekers, which allows you to hire even faster. And right now, start your first job posting with free premium placement. Redeem now at Indeed.com/TV1. Search for greatness. Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
At Casper, we had an idea. If the simplest products are designed for the curve of our bodies, why are mattresses flat? So we designed a new kind of mattress that mirrors the natural shape of our bodies. We precisely engineered it at 36 points to reduce pressure on our hips and shoulders while supporting the core. We call it the Wave. Flat on the outside, but curved on the inside. For me, it's just a more human way to sleep.
Try it today at Casper.com.
CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist-recommended supplement for people taking cholesterol-lowering statin drugs. Cunol, with 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10, has the #1 cardiologist-recommended form of CoQ10. Cunol, the better CoQ10.
The Russian meddling. Inside the impact, the fallout, where it goes from here. House Intelligence Leader Devin Nunes gives us new intel into the case on a powerful Tucker Carlson Tonight.
The body, it is a work of art and a powerful ally in the fight against cancer. A new approach called immunotherapy works by helping our immune system correctly identify and eradicate many types of cancer cells. Speak with your doctor and visit su2c.org/immunotherapy to learn more. Your body might just be your greatest hope.
Page Six doesn't just know gossip, they invented it.
Big news from the entertainment world.
Heartbreakers, moneymakers, trendsetters, and private jetters. From the famous to the infamous.
I literally just broke the story.
We go way beyond the headlines.
My sources are saying about their relationship, it's all for show.
Giving you a VIP pass into the hottest stories.
This is the future of pop culture.
It's who's on the inside that counts. Page Six TV. Weekdays. Check your local listings.
Oprah Winfrey sat down with Michigan voters to gauge their opinions about President Trump on CBS's 60 Minutes.
Okay. So polls are showing that respect for the United States is eroding around the world. Do you care what the world thinks of the United States?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Ever since Trump got elected in 2016, the numbers of incoming global students have gone down. They do not feel safe.
I feel safer now than I ever did the last 8 years of Obama.
How do you feel safer?
God.
Tell me how you feel safer.
Well, I feel like I can say Merry Christmas to anyone I want, wherever I want.
You could. President Trump was apparently watching, judging from the ensuing tweet storm. Quote, just watched a very insecure Oprah Winfrey, who at one point I knew very well, interview a panel of people on 60 Minutes. The questions were biased and slanted, the facts incorrect. Hope Oprah runs so she can be exposed and defeated just like all the others. But is it fair to accuse this president of eroding respect on the world stage? Joining me now from Illinois, Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, good to see you.
Hey, Mike.
How is the United States doing on the world stage, sir?
Well, I think it depends who you ask. If you ask some of our friends on the left, they're going to say not well. And it's interesting, if you look back in history, if you look at when Ronald Reagan was president, the people on the left said he's going to start nuclear war. America's losing respect around the world. In fact, Europe thought Ronald Reagan was way too harsh on the Soviets. The same thing happened with George W. Bush. They called him a cowboy and all this kind of stuff. So it's basically what happens if you're a Republican. What I think is, words-wise, yeah, President Obama said some really nice things. He said Assad must go. He said Assad cannot use chemical weapons. He said Russia shouldn't invade Ukraine. He pushed back against the Chinese verbally, but did nothing in action on any of those. On the converse, President Trump has taken a lot of action. He has bombed the Syrians. In fact, there was a bombing against Russian mercenaries just 2 weeks ago when they crossed another red line. We've given assistance to Ukraine. So America really is stepping up to fill its role in the world again. So it may be offensive to some people because he doesn't speak exactly like they want him to, but I think there's no doubt that people respect the United States of America again and know that if the president says he's going to do something, he will.
U.S. News evidently does a country ranking, best country rankings. I thought they just did colleges. Who knew? U.S. was ranked number 7 last year, has apparently dropped to number 8 this year. Your thoughts?
You know, look, it's these, I don't know what criteria they use on this stuff. Obviously, they're going to ask some people, and some folks on the left, again, they don't like what's happening to our government because it offends them. But there's many people like me that actually think for the first time we gave people a tax cut. We're seeing the economy come back. We're seeing middle-class wages grow. We're seeing people support that. Businesses being unleashed. And that is the generator of the ability to put more money into the military, which we were just able to do, and to regain our position on the world stage. And sometimes being the tough person on the block, sometimes being the one that helps to create a world order, in essence, something that works, people are going to be offended and mad because they don't like it. But it's what needs to be done because we've seen what 8 years of a vacuum of leadership did.
Meanwhile, President Trump seems to be daring Oprah Winfrey to run for president in 2020 against him. There's a new poll out from PBS Marist that actually was from January, revealing that the American people have a very favorable impression of Oprah. But when you asked if they want Oprah Winfrey to run for president in 2020 or not, 35% said yes, 54% said no, and 11% unsure. You're there in Illinois. Your thoughts?
Well, she's a well-known person here. She's fun to watch on television. She does great television, but hasn't shown herself to be worthy of running for president. I mean, I guess she could run for it, but she hasn't necessarily shown the qualifications of what it would take to be president. So I think there's a lot of people that are intrigued by the idea of having Oprah Winfrey running for office and hearing her speeches and her inspiration and her story, which is actually very inspiring. She's an inspiring person. But I think when they look at it, they're like, but what has she done to show that she could be a good commander-in-chief? And so if she does end up running, I think it'll be fun. It's going to be a very crowded Democratic primary. I think it's going to be way more crowded than even the Republicans were. And it'll be interesting to see how she stands up to the other 20 or so that'll be running at the same time.
Always fun to talk about, even ahead of the 2018 elections. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, Republican of Illinois. It's great to talk to you, sir.
You bet. See ya.
It is a topic we don't touch on lightly, but now that some states are calling pornography a public health risk amid calls to ban it entirely, we put Ellison Barber on the case to find out why. Plus, a Democrat says his party and the media are too fixated on Russia, as a new report tonight suggests voters are looking for a reset. We'll debate what it all means for the midterms next.
Our members shop a little differently, so we reward every purchase.
Let's see what Kate's in. For you, for all of us. That's for me.
Navy Federal Credit Union, open to the armed forces, the DoD, veterans, and their families.
This is where life expresses itself as an endless flow of energy. Are you ready? Atlantis, Bahamas at heart.
Book by February 28th for the best rates at 1-800-ATLANTIS or AtlantisBahamas.com.
How often do you get a good night's sleep?
I'm tossing and turning, and I'm worried, and I have anxiety.
According to a major publication, lack of sleep can impair your memory and concentration, cause weight gain and depression.
I can't think straight. My brain is foggy.
Wouldn't you like to get the kind of deep, rejuvenating, uninterrupted slumber that leaves you feeling refreshed in the morning and ready to take on the day? Introducing safe, gentle, natural, affordable Relaxium Sleep. Developed by a renowned neurologist, Dr. Eric Celeberity, Relaxium is a true breakthrough in sleep science.
I've had terrible experiences with sleeping pills, but with Relaxium Sleep, I woke up alert with no after effects.
Its triple action formula contains a proprietary blend of ingredients, which first regulates the natural sleep cycle, then relaxes the body, and finally calms the mind. In a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial evaluating the ingredients in Relaxium Sleep, participants reported their ability to sleep improved by up to 71%, reduced stress and anxiety by up to 70%, boosted daytime energy by up to 53%, improved concentration by up to 50%, improved the quality of their lives. And it's 100% guaranteed to work. We're so confident that Relaxium will work for you that we're giving away 1,000 bottles today.
I feel so rested, and I love it because it's so natural.
You deserve a good night's sleep, so call now and try Relaxium Sleep, risk-free for 30 days. Reduce sleeplessness, reduce stress and anxiety, restore daytime energy, improve concentration.
I work better, I'm more productive.
Call within the next 15 minutes and we'll also send you the powerful Relaxium Sleep music CD absolutely free.
Thank God for Relaxium Sleep because it's truly changed my life.
To receive your risk-free 1-month supply of Relaxium and free music CD, call 1-800-658-2420 or visit tryrelaxium.com.
If you suffer from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, you're not alone. Millions of Americans get sudden, agonizing cramps every day when they're driving, walking, or just trying to sleep through the night.
I have suffered my whole life with muscle cramping. I would fall to the ground. It was so bad and so painful. I remember times I'd be crying and
And everybody around me, they felt bad because there was nothing at the time that you could do about it. When I tried Therawix, right away, all the cramping went away. I initially applied it at the bottom of my foot and my thigh, and right away, I was able to sleep through the night. Therawix is definitely a breakthrough. It's a little miracle. I wouldn't be sitting here if it didn't work on me. Just try it, give it a shot. It takes less time than it takes me to brush my teeth. It's so easy to use, and it's worth it. I can cook again. I can sit at my computer for 8 hours a day and I don't hurt.
Therawix Relief is my choice for preventing and relieving muscle cramps. Make it yours too.
Get Therawix Relief today at TherawixRelief.com.
With Esurance Photo Claims, you could have money for repairs within a day.
Wow, that was really fast.
That's insurance for the modern world. Esurance. Click or call.
The state capitol in California allegedly has a sexual harassment problem. 2 lawmakers have resigned, and 2 more are now on leave over suspected improper conduct. And now we're learning more about the allegations against one of them. Our Trace Gallagher joins us live with this story. Hi, Trace.
Hi, Mike. These complaints read like a lesson in hypocrisy 101. California Democratic Assemblywoman Cristina Garcia, who was elected in 2012, has carved out a name for being a champion of the Me Too movement. Not only is she a leader in the state's anti-sexual harassment campaign, she was also featured in Time magazine's Person of the Year issue for being one of the silence breakers on sexual harassment. Garcia has vocally and repeatedly said she refuses to work with anyone who takes part in harassment or assault, and yet she is now accused of both. A former male staffer for a different California lawmaker alleges that after a softball game in 2014, Cristina Garcia stroked his back, grabbed his buttocks, and tried to grab his genitals. Then after another fundraiser last year, the same staffer says she again tried to grab his genitals. The staffer didn't report it at the time, but last month he mentioned it to his boss and then passed it up the chain to assembly leaders. But there is more. Cristina Garcia is also a big advocate of Governor Jerry Brown's push to give whistleblower protection for those who report sexual misconduct. However, another former staffer at the California State House says Garcia fired him because he said it was inappropriate that she asked her staff to play spin the bottle with her after a political fundraiser. Garcia says she was unaware of the claims, quoting, "I have zero recollection of engaging in inappropriate behavior, and such behavior is inconsistent with my values." Her staffers say she may not remember because she was inebriated. They go on to say she presided over a toxic workplace, replete with heavy drinking and raunchy conversations. Cristina Garcia has long said that alcohol is not an acceptable excuse for bad behavior. She is now on unpaid voluntary leave while the allegations are being investigated. Mike.
Trace Gallagher live from our West Coast newsroom. Trace, many thanks. An editorial in the New York Times recently called for a ban on pornography. The Times isn't alone in wanting a crackdown on porn, as Ellison Barber reports for us tonight.
Dangerous and negative impacts.
Ross Spano is a Republican member of the Florida House of Representatives. He's drafted a resolution to declare porn a public health risk.
You need to begin discussing, investigating, researching, talking about the impacts of pornography on our state.
He's not the first to propose something like it. At least 6 states have passed resolutions that say porn is a public health concern. The New York Times recently published a lengthy piece on porn and focused on a government-funded program in Boston that tries to teach high schoolers about healthy relationships and how to be critical consumers of porn by discussing how porn portrays things like gender, aggression, consent. But some say porn is so bad, it's time to ban it, or at least put more government in it.
It's hardcore depictions of women being raped, beaten, abused, demeaned. DOJ could easily just enforce the laws that are on the books for obscenity.
A 2017 study by the American Psychological Association surveyed 330 men, mostly white and mostly heterosexual. They found that the younger a man was when he first viewed pornography, the more likely he was to want power over women.
The days of Playboy are gone. Today, pornography is violent.
But correlation doesn't always mean causation, and some experts say it's difficult to study the impacts of porn on children. Most research is survey-based, not experimental, because it would be unethical, illegal in most places, to show porn to a minor.
The government wants to talk about porn because, you know, they get a lot of headlines from it. Even declaring it a public health crisis, I mean, even if you do that, there's no teeth to that legislation. It's just symbolic. There's actually been a lot of studies showing that people who watch porn that are adults hold more feminist views than people who don't. Teenagers today might have more access to porn that we think is scary, but they also have more access to porn that shows healthy sexuality.
Some say porn should be a bigger discussion within the Me Too movement. In that column for the New York Times, Ross Douthat says that if society wants better men, porn needs to be regulated and restricted. He argues that the Me Too movement is incomplete if it doesn't address the fact that some teens are learning about sex from hardcore porn. Others say society should talk about it, parents should, but they don't believe the government should be involved. Mike?
Ellison Barber live here in Washington tonight. Ellison, thanks very much. Elon Musk's dream for a high-speed rail system connecting D.C. to New York may be coming closer to reality. The electric car pioneer who recently launched his SpaceX rocket has received a permit from the Washington, D.C. government to start digging an area in northeast D.C. for the Hyperloop project. If and when the system is built, a trip from Washington, D.C. to New York City could take just 29 minutes. The DOJ says the indictments filed last week against Russia contain no evidence the scheme impacted the 2016 election. So how vulnerable are the midterms to Russian meddling, or is it all being blown out of proportion? Peter Doocy investigates. And cruising for a bruising. New tonight on what happened aboard a Carnival cruise and what the company plans to do about it.
Coaching means making tough choices.
Jim, you're in.
But when you have high blood pressure and need cold medicine that works fast, the choice is simple. Coricidin HBP is the #1 brand that gives powerful cold symptom relief without raising your blood pressure. Coricidin HBP.
There are plenty of good booking sites, but your ideal hotel may only be listed on one, or several, but for very different prices. You really want to check them all? Instead, use Trivago to compare these offers and find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
Your call is now first in line and will be answered by the next available representative. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for holding. How may I assist you?
Hi, yes. We were just broken into, and we need a home security system.
Oh, sorry, wrong department. Please hold.
The best home security isn't hard to get. With SimpliSafe, you can get comprehensive, professionally monitored home security online without the hold time or runaround. Anyone can set up SimpliSafe in under an hour. There are no tools needed. Just open the box, plug it in, and your family's protected around the clock. Each SimpliSafe system is a thoughtfully assembled security arsenal. From entry and motion sensors to a high-definition security camera, you'll have everything you need to keep your family safe. If someone tries to break in, you can see what happened right on your phone. Our monitoring center will call to make sure you're safe and immediately dispatch police to your home.
All clear. Alarm must have scared him off.
SimpliSafe's professional security is so reliable, it was named Central Station of the Year. And with SimpliSafe, 24/7 protection is just $15 a month. There are no long-term contracts or commitments, so you're free to start or cancel monitoring when you need to. CNET called SimpliSafe Comprehensive, Easy-to-Use Protection, naming it Editor's Choice for home security. And it has over 30,000 five-star reviews on Google. Each system comes with a 60-day risk-free guarantee. Order today and get free shipping. You'll feel safe at home or your money back. Start protecting your home today. Go to GetSimpliSafe.com.
Turning in the grain again, the bells began to chime. Time, she said.
You can pass down a Subaru Forester, but you get to keep the memories.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Get 0% APR financing on all new 2018 Subaru Forester models now through February 28th.
we need that cable box to watch TV?
Nope.
Don't we need a run?
Nope. It just explodes in a high-pitched
yeah.
Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. No satellite needed.
After more than a dozen indictments came down last week against Russian individuals and organizations accused of meddling in the 2016 election, concerns have grown about the integrity of the upcoming midterms. Correspondent Peter Doocy has taken a look at our biggest vulnerabilities and what we can do leading up to November.
To figure out how to stop Moscow from meddling in the midterms, dozens of secretaries of state spent the long weekend in Washington for meetings that started with a peek at Putin's playbook in the latest Mueller indictment.
That was $1 million a month operation. So that gives me an idea of the resources that we're working against.
Most of that money went towards propaganda.
The biggest threat seems to be from the American public believing the many false stories that were told out there during the last election.
But voting systems are vulnerable too. 21 states were targeted by Russian hackers in 2016, and many networks are still flawed.
The endpoint security on most of those electoral systems is outdated, and it can't match up to the modern-day weaponry being created by the Russian cyber adversaries.
During the 2016 cycle, the FBI felt the system was safe because it is so spread out.
The beauty of the American voting system is that it is dispersed among the 50 states, and it's clunky as heck. It's not exactly a swift part of the Internet of Things.
But things have changed now that more precincts have Wi-Fi.
What's happened is, as the states have evolved with their use of technology to facilitate voting, to increase the number of voters, to improve the process of voting, they've expanded the attack surface that can now be penetrated by foreign adversaries.
This weekend, 2 classified briefings were held for election officials from every state. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence says the sessions were all about, quote, increasing awareness of foreign adversary intent and capabilities against the state's election infrastructure, as well as a discussion of threat mitigation efforts. A DHS official tells Fox News that right now, 32 states and 31 local governments are receiving remotely operated cyber hygiene scans for vulnerabilities, and 14 states have requested on-site risk and vulnerability assessments, which won't be done till mid-April. But the DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen is telling state officials it's still ultimately up to them to keep elections secure.
She has absolutely no desire or no intention to take over elections and to run elections from the federal level down to the state level. That was the thing we were the most enthusiastic about hearing from Secretary Nielsen.
The first primaries of the 2018 cycle are 2 weeks from tomorrow, so there's a great sense of urgency to beef up cyber defenses, even though there's still no publicly available evidence to show that Russia or anyone ever hacked a polling place to change a ballot in 2016. Mike?
Our Peter Doocy reporting here in Washington tonight. Peter, thank you. A Democratic candidate running to unseat Congressman Devin Nunes of the House Intelligence Committee ironically complained to MSNBC today that the media is too focused on Russia.
One of the things that I've been criticized for is really only talking about Russia, which couldn't be farther from the truth. No offense, but you folks in the media only talk about the Russia thing. So when I'm out there talking about water and infrastructure, that's not covered, or that's not played on cable news.
Joining me now to discuss is contributing editor to the Daily Caller and columnist at Town Hall, Derek Hunter, and the executive in residence at American University School of Public Relations, former Ohio Senate Minority Leader Capri Cafaro. Folks, thanks for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having us. Absolutely, thank you.
So, Capri, are folks too obsessed with Russia in terms of the media, and do folks back home in Ohio care more about so-called pocketbook issues?
There's no question that people in Ohio and frankly across the nation care more about the economy, more about jobs, more about health care, more about infrastructure, like this gentleman was talking about, than they do about Russia. Now, yes, is it important, as we just heard from Peter Doocy, about the circumstances surrounding, the safety of our elections and whether or not Russia is going to get involved and all of those things? Absolutely. But Democrats have to be for something. We can't just be waving this flag about Russia. We can't just be against Donald Trump. We need to talk about those issues that are important, to the American public, and that is what is going to make us successful in 2018, not being obsessed with Russia.
Derek, your take on Russia, Russia, Russia?
Well, if the Russians had $1 for every time the rest of the mainstream media talked about Russia, they could have funded an anti-Trump campaign and an anti-Hillary campaign that would be 10 times the size of the one they actually funded. They spent the equivalent of a stake at Morton's in Wisconsin and flipped the state for Republicans. And yet that is all you hear nonstop until there's something horrible. And then they switch for a couple of days, and then they immediately go back to Russia, Russia, Russia. It sounds like Jan Brady going after her sister. It's a level of insanity and obsession that I think is funny. I appreciate it, but I don't know how many times you can drill down the same dry well before you start to think, hey, maybe there's something else going on in the world.
And I think that it actually discredits the real issues surrounding Russia. I mean, when we talk about things like the indictment that came out on Friday, those are substantive issues. To politicize that does not do the actual, law enforcement investigation any service, and I think loses credibility amongst Democrats if we just continue to be obsessed with it.
Well, that's predicated upon them having credibility. And if you watch what's going on in the rest of the networks, it has been a nonstop mantra. It is whatever the latest trope is to try and discredit the president of the United States. And I know the term fake news is almost played out at this point, but there's nothing more accurate than saying fake news when it comes to this. You bring something to the table, you bring some proof to the table, and God forbid you bring some proof to the table, then we can talk about it. But up until then, it is nonstop wild speculation. Meanwhile, I'm from Michigan, my family's going to work every day. They have yet to have to convert their dollars to rubles. We are not inundated with Russians. There isn't one behind every bush yet. If they're out there, I would like to see them exposed, but why don't we wait until we find some of them before we start crying wolf?
All right, so as part of this whole Russia discussion, some folks are starting to ask, if there was so much concern about Russia, why didn't President Obama do more about it? And California Congressman Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the intelligence panel, had this to say.
I've said all along that I thought the Obama administration should have done more, and indeed when we discovered and we could attribute the conduct to Russia, Senator Feinstein and I took the first steps to make public attribution, because at that time we couldn't get the Obama administration to acknowledge the Russian interference.
Capri?
Well, I think the Obama administration at the time, and obviously hindsight is 2020, I think they were paranoid about looking too political in one way, shape, or form. But, when you have somebody like Adam Schiff calling a spade, obviously, there's enough culpability to go around, and what happened in 2016 was a real mess.
Derek? How can the President of the United States, who was actively campaigning for Hillary Clinton, worry about, oh, geez, if I say something about this going on, somebody might find out where I'm coming from? We knew what he wanted. The real problem...
Separation.
Not really.
Election
night, the night before, he was in Philadelphia rocking out to Bruce Springsteen, just like everybody else, just nobody went and voted. The real issue is that nobody expected Donald Trump to win. So they didn't think it would be an issue. So they just said, well, okay, they're spending a few dollars here and a few dollars there, and that's really all we're talking about. So they just thought it would be an afterthought, and maybe they could discuss it later as sort of we need to get serious about corruption. But they never thought Trump would win, and then they thought, well, thank God we didn't say anything, because now we have a ready-made excuse. Now we have a ready-made excuse, and they've been beating that drum.
I appreciate the Springsteen reference. Capri, Derek, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Time now for our Real News Roundup. Pop star Fergie breaking her silence on the now infamous national anthem controversy.
Oh, say, does that star spangled banner yet wave?
Well, the good news is everyone stood for the national anthem last night at the NBA All-Star Game, but some couldn't stand what they were hearing. Fergie's rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner is getting scathing reviews on social media. Even many players on the court were cringing. The singer has given a statement to TMZ, quote, "Last night I wanted to try something special for the NBA. I'm a risk taker artistically, but clearly this rendition didn't strike the intended tone. I love this country and honestly tried my best." Actress Jennifer Lawrence accused of turning activist since she's taking a one-year sabbatical to focus on fixing our democracy. She's joining a group called Represent.us, which calls itself bipartisan and has several Tea Party members in its ranks. In fact, the self-described anti-corruption group targeted a Democrat, Congressman Jim Himes, with a sting featuring a fake Citigroup lobbyist.
This is so embarrassing. Crap. Something we could have done this in private. Oh, God. Thank you. Here, why don't you just take, you can carry whatever you can.
The Liberal actress Lawrence is helping raise funds for Represent.us with a contest to go wine tasting with her in California. Carnival Cruise Line reports it's investigating the way its workers responded to a massive brawl on board of one of its ships. Carnival reports it removed 23 passengers for disruptive and violent acts, a little smackdown on a ship. But some passengers told reporters that the staff actually made things worse. The company apologized to its customers and offered them a 25% discount on future trips. Not so fast. A new judge in the case against Michael Flynn puts pressure on Robert Mueller. Could this mean Flynn will reverse his guilty plea? We'll go to night court to figure it all out.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clear skin is achievable after just 4 months, with reduced redness, thickness, and scaliness of plaques. And the Otezla prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Tell your doctor if these occur. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Other side effects include upper respiratory tract infection and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
Oh, you are my sunshine. Oh, my only sunshine. Oh, girl, you make me happy sometimes. My skies are gray. You never know how much I love you. But I don't want you to take my sunshine away.
Divided over labor's future. Union funding splits the Supreme Court. How should Gorsuch cast the deciding vote? The debate heats up. Next, Fox News at Night.
Did you know that every time you use the internet, you put yourself at risk? Not only can your internet service provider see every website you visit, hackers can see your transaction details. Strangers can monitor your children's activity. NordVPN uses military-grade security protocols that protect your information so no one can see what you do online. Protect up to 6 devices for just $4 per month. Don't risk being hacked. Visit nordvpn.com/TV today.
I won this 55-inch TV for less than $30 on DealDash.com.
I got this floor steamer for $1.74. What's not to love?
These aren't actors, they're real people who got real savings at DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site.
On DealDash, I got this $349 mixer for less than $25.
iPads sell for as little as $5, laptops for $10, and professional cameras for as little as $20.
I got all this great stuff for only $40.
I got all this for less than $50 on DealDash.com.
Try DealDash today. If you don't win, get your money back. But hurry, everything must go. Go to DealDash.com now to start bidding.
In my first 4 months on DealDash, I won 104 auctions.
And shipping is always free.
Visit DealDash.com and start bidding today.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
An update in the case of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who pled guilty late last year to lying to the FBI in the special counsel's investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election. Shortly after that plea, Judge Emmett Sullivan took over the case and ordered Mueller's team to share any evidence it has that could exonerate Flynn. Sullivan issues this order in every criminal case he handles. So what does this mean for Flynn? With us now are legal eagles Bob Bianchi and David Bruno, both criminal defense attorneys and former prosecutors. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, Mike.
So, Bob, is the Michael Flynn case unraveling?
No, it's not unraveling at all, because you have to remember with Flynn in particular, there are also a lot of state crimes that he could potentially be looking at. He got a very favorable sentence with the federal government. So I know a lot of people are talking about, well, President Trump could pardon him, but he can't pardon him for state crimes like kidnapping, assault, wire fraud, and things of that nature. So based on that beneficial plea offer he got, he would be crazy in my mind to withdraw his plea. This is a standard thing the judge did. It's not going to change the facts and circumstances. It's not going to have any effect on the case.
David, my guess is folks at home are saying, how can you plead guilty and then say not so much? Your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I mean, generally speaking, when people plead guilty, the judge goes through this document in painstaking detail that you're doing so knowingly involuntary. And in his specific plea agreement, he also agreed to waive any further discovery at the point of the plea. So I agree with Bob. If he takes back his plea, then the federal government can prosecute him for all the crimes he's already pled guilty to, among others. Not a good move for the Flynn team.
Bob, what does Flynn's legal team say, that essentially some of this evidence that's been uncovered is beneficial to his case?
No, I mean, we don't know right now. What they're basically saying is that the prosecutors, federal court's different than state, and actually they have a great advantage because a lot of times you don't get all of the data and information. As a former prosecutor in state court, it was a lot harder, but now as a defense attorney, when we walk people into federal court, we basically don't know what it is that they've got. We do a proffer session or a queen for a day, as you've been hearing lately, and then basically if your client says to you, look, I did this, and we think the government has the evidence, you know, we got to start playing ball with Team USA. But a lot of times we don't have all the reports like we do in state court. So I don't think that the lawyers are doing anything other than saying, Mike, stick with this, because this is 0 to 6 months right now based upon the acceptance of responsibility reduction credits you got. Right. That's a fancy way of saying for cooperating, don't blow it. And also don't hurt your son.
David, what does the government say that this information is not material to the case? And by the way, he pled guilty?
Yeah, that's generally the position. However, on Friday, Judge Sullivan amended that order to say that the government has to provide any favorable evidence during the course of the plea negotiations. So that is different from the December order that Sullivan signed. So right now, the government is going to have to go back through all of its files and determine whether or not something is favorable that hasn't been provided. One additional point, Sullivan's order says, government, if you think something is favorable or maybe not so favorable, give it to me. I'll review it, what's called in camera, away from the attorneys, and I'll make the decision.
Bob Bianchi, David Bruno, we have to leave it there. Gentlemen, thanks very much for staying up late with us.
You got it. Our pleasure.
Pleasure, Mike.
And on this President's Day, we present a presidential tale, and a priceless one at that.
Diabetes can be a daily struggle, even if you're trying your best. Along with diet and exercise, Once Daily Toujeo may help you control your blood sugar. Get into a daily groove.
Let's go tonight. Share the spice of life. Baby, slice it right.
From the makers of Lantus, Toujeo provides blood sugar lowering activity for 24 hours and beyond. Proven blood sugar control all day and all night, and significant A1C reduction. Toujeo is used to control high blood sugar in adults with diabetes. It contains 3 times as much insulin in 1 milliliter as standard insulin. Don't use Toujeo to treat diabetic ketoacidosis, during episodes of low blood sugar, or if you're allergic to insulin. Get medical help right away if you have a serious allergic reaction, such as body rash or trouble breathing. Don't reuse needles or share insulin pens. The most common side effect is low blood sugar, which can be life-threatening. It may cause shaking, sweating, fast heartbeat, and blurred vision. Check your blood sugar levels daily. Injection site reactions may occur. Don't change your dose of insulin without talking to your doctor. Tell your doctor about all your medicines and medical conditions. Check insulin label each time you inject. Taking TZDs with insulins like Toujeo may cause heart failure that can lead to death. Find your rhythm and keep on grooving. Ask your doctor about Toujeo.
The security technologies to protect our most important information have failed. Ransomware has bred a new class of criminals, prosperous, foreign, and anonymous.
Our mission is to develop new and superior technology to drive the cyber mafia to insolvency.
PCMatic's patent-pending whitelist defeats 100% of viruses, including ransomware. A new threat, malicious scripting, penetrates traditional antivirus. PCMatic blocks it. The end result is PCMatic customers are uninfected and don't pay ransoms. PCMatic's technologies are priced so everyone can afford them and designed so everyone can use them. PCMatic is now hiring for the jobs of the future in cybersecurity, protecting homes, protecting businesses, protecting government agencies.
We can live in a ransomware-free world. After all, we put a man on the moon.
PCMatic, America's antivirus. Go to PCMatic.com or a Synex reseller.
This is Fracture. Just upload an image, place your order, and it'll show up at your door, beautifully printed directly on glass. And this isn't just another frame, not just another canvas. This is new. This is a Fracture. Visit FractureMe.com and print one today.
I'm Mark, and I quit smoking with Chantix. My friends and family never thought I'd be the one to quit smoking. I was such a heavy smoker, but I was able to do it with Chantix. I did not know that Chantix would reduce my urges so significantly.
Along with support, Chantix Varenicline is proven to help people quit smoking.
Chantix reduced my urge to smoke.
When you try to quit smoking, with or without Chantix, you may have nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Some people had changes in behavior or thinking, aggression, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, or suicidal thoughts or actions with Chantix. Serious side effects may include seizures, new or worse heart or blood vessel problems, sleepwalking, or allergic and skin reactions, which can be life-threatening. Stop Chantix and get help right away if you have any of these. Tell your healthcare provider if you've had depression or other mental health problems. Decrease alcohol use while taking Chantix. Use caution when driving or operating machinery. The most common side effect is nausea.
Everybody had doubts, including me, but I did it.
Ask your doctor if Chantix is right for you. Many insurance plans cover Chantix for a low or $0 copay.
Liberty Mutual stood with me when I was too busy with the kids to get a repair estimate. I just snapped a photo and got an estimate in 24 hours.
My insurance company definitely doesn't have that.
You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
To cap the night in this President's Day, we leave you with a tale of one president's ponytail. Union College in upstate New York recently discovered a lock of George Washington's hair amongst its archives. It was tucked into a pocket almanac from 1793 and thought to be a gift, common at the time from his wife Martha to Eliza Schuyler, wife of Alexander Hamilton. Schuyler then passed it down to her son. Union College plans to place the lock on display, but will not subject it to a DNA test, instead relying on Eliza's written origin. It has been a blast sitting in for my friend and first-class colleague Shannon Bream. Thanks for watching. Good night from Washington. I'm Mike Emanuel.
Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight, and happy President's Day. You may have noticed an accelerating cycle in Washington lately. Here's what it looks like. The permanent class hates Donald Trump. They attack him as a rapist, a criminal, a foreign spy working to destroy America. Trump, because he watches more bad television than is healthy, sees these attacks and then responds with hostile tweets attacking his critics. His critics then point out those tweets as evidence that Trump is every bit as bad as they said he was, and so on. Well, the latest installment of the saga took place over the weekend. CNN political analyst David Gergen warned that Trump's criticism of the media proves he's a would-be dictator. Watch.
It may come out through the Justice Department from Mueller, discrediting the press that will be reporting on what Mueller does. This is what split the country apart, and it is the beginnings. In many other countries, it's been the beginnings of an authoritarian rule, and that's the larger threat hanging over us now.
Well, that's kind of hilarious. The irony, of course, is that David Gergen spent much of his own career in government, not simply criticizing reporters, but actively lying to them, as is the custom. Was that the behavior of a despot? Pretty funny. But pause and consider this seriously for a minute. Authoritarianism, that's what our ruling class says it fears. They tell us that all the time. Okay, let's say you really were an authoritarian and you wanted to weaken American democracy and impose a kind of oligarchy on the country. How would you go about doing that? Well, you'd probably start by trying to control what people say and think. If citizens dissented from the mandated orthodoxy or dared to consider unauthorized ideas, you'd target them. You'd shame them on social media. You'd shout them down in public. You'd get them fired from their jobs. You'd make sure everybody was afraid to disagree with you. After that, you would work to disarm the population. You'd take their guns away. That way, they'd be entirely dependent on you for their safety, not to mention unable to resist your plans for them. Then, just to make sure you'd quelled all opposition, you'd systematically target any institution that might oppose or put brakes on your power. You'd be especially concerned about churches, the family, and independent businesses. You'd be certain to undermine and crush those using laws and relentless propaganda. If, despite all of that, election results still didn't go your way, you'd use an entrenched, unelected bureaucracy to neuter any leader you hadn't handpicked yourself. But you'd be shaken by an election like that. You'd resolve never to allow one again. And to make sure of that, you'd work tirelessly to replace the old and ungrateful population with a new and more obedient one. That's what you'd do. Sound familiar? We're not talking about Donald Trump. For all of his faults, Trump isn't doing any of that. Our ruling class is. And that's what all these issues are really about. The speech codes, the calls for gun control, the relentless attacks on the nuclear family, the demands for unlimited mass immigration. None of that is designed to help you. None of it will make you happier or more prosperous. That's not the point. The point is to make you more dependent on the very people who are yelling at you right now on cable television. They're the authoritarians. Mark Steyn is an author and columnist, and he joins us tonight. Mark, authoritarians. It's a little ironic that these people are calling the population that while they're simultaneously trying to control the population by any means necessary.
Exactly, Tucker. And in fact, the reason they wound up with Donald Trump getting elected president is because they've got a long tradition of doing this to any Republican. They did it to Bush. They did it to Mitt Romney, who's the very definition of a milquetoast, and yet they managed to claim that he was some kind of Nazi because he stuck his dog on the car and drove the dog to Canada or whatever it was. And in the end, Donald Trump was the only guy who could withstand the kind of careless demonization that goes on. And it's interesting to me, you gave all those examples of the authoritarian trends on the left. There are lots of other ones, too. I mean, David Gergen didn't get upset when Sheldon Whitehouse, a Democrat senator, proposed that people who disagree with his views on climate change should be subject to criminal prosecution.
Exactly.
He didn't worry about the authoritarian temptation when the Democrats in the Senate voted effectively to neuter the First Amendment. He didn't bemoan the trend towards authoritarianism when the previous administration weaponized both the Justice Department and the IRS to go after its ideological enemies. And worst of all, he didn't bemoan the trend towards authoritarianism when dozens of Democrat legislators, before Trump had even set foot in the office, decided to boycott his inauguration, which is the very defining act of a free society, the peaceful transfer of power.
That's right.
David Gergen didn't whimper a word when dozens of Democrats decided they were going to boycott that inauguration.
He seemed deeply unconcerned. I was thinking this weekend, why is it, what all these issues have in common, though, gun control, mass immigration, particularly attacks on the nuclear family, male-headed households, the patriarchy, they never let up with that. What is that about? And it seems to me that the family is the final bulwark against the spread of government power. You're loyal to your family first. When you stop being loyal to your family first, you can be controlled.
Yes, and I would say actually that one of the most disturbing trends There's an Indian professor in Bangalore who bemoans the way essentially Western leftists have nationalized the family. They started off by, nationalizing the mines and the car industry, and when all that didn't work, they actually figured out it's best just to cut to the chase and nationalize the family. And, what matters in any society is the intervening institutions between the individual and the government. You mentioned the family, you mentioned the church. It's also things like town government and county government. And when you have serious revolutions like the Soviets and the French, they abolish all of those. In the Soviet case, they did go very far towards abolishing the family. We've got something slightly different, as we've seen in Florida, where you have vast, essentially, you've got government social services, you've got government police agencies at multiple levels monitoring someone, and they're actually, these things are not as effective as, in fact, a functioning family and letting parents raise their children, as opposed to having doctors determine that your 7-year-old is going through a bit of a phase, so let's get him transitioning into a girl. They're at war with all the intervening agencies between centralized power and the individual.
And it's not an accident. Brilliant analysis. I always learn something when you're on. Mark Steyn, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
Well, this past weekend was not a high point for responsible political analysis, to put it mildly, following Special Counsel Robert Mueller's indictment against 13 Russians for alleged meddling during the last election. President Trump tweeted this, quote, "Obama was president up to and beyond the 2016 election. Why didn't he do something about Russian meddling?" Well, so that's a fair question, whether you like the tweet or not. But the media were not impressed at all. Various ersatz Russia experts competed on cable television to see who could find the most over-the-top analogy to express their outrage. The Washington Post's Karen Tumulty nearly won with this one. Watch.
You look at the president's tweets this morning and try to imagine if Franklin D. Roosevelt, after Pearl Harbor, had gotten on the radio and said that Tokyo was laughing at us, to use a little less crude phrase than he did. Sure. That is not what is called upon a president to do right now.
You know what's going to happen, though, Karen? Someone on Fox News is going to take what you just said. They're going to say, how dare you compare this to Pearl Harbor?
It is an attack on our country. It is an attack on our country with use of 21st century means. And it is definitely a national security threat.
Yeah, someone on Fox News might be reasonable and subject the analogy to critical analysis. So here it is. Pearl Harbor, that, of course, was a sneak attack by the Japanese Imperial military that killed almost 3,000 Americans. It led, of course, to 4 years of global war. Yeah, that's almost identical to Russians taking out Facebook ads before the last election. Meanwhile, over on Twitter, Max Boot of the Washington Post compared the whole thing to, inevitably, 9/11. Boot tweeted this, quote, "Imagine if after 9/11 the president saw the attack as a political embarrassment to be minimized rather than as a national security threat to be combated. That's roughly where we stand after the second worst foreign attack on America in recent decades." Huh. Let's see, after 9/11 we gave up long-standing civil liberties, we invaded 2 countries, we began a nearly endless series of minor interventions across the globe that have killed thousands of U.S. soldiers and hundreds of thousands of other people. If Max Boot had his way, we would have attacked Iran also. We may still, at his urging. Is his suggestion now we bomb Moscow? Actually, don't ask. You don't want to know the answer. But let's pause and think about this in a non-hysterical way for a minute with facts, if possible. Obviously, we ought to acknowledge that Russians tried to meddle in our election because they did. But scale matters here and everywhere. And here's what actually happened during the 2016 election. According to Facebook, their own numbers, Russian-linked companies spent a total of $46,000 on ads before the election. That's less than what it cost to buy a new Chevy Suburban, by the way. By contrast, the Trump and Clinton campaigns spent a combined total of $81 million. That's not including all the online advertising by various interest groups like the NRA or Planned Parenthood, NARAL, AFL, CIO, a million more. So Russian spending did not amount to much, but it was also badly targeted, comically so. For example, 5 times as many Russian ads were run in Maryland, a bright blue state, as in Wisconsin, which was on the line. Most of the Facebook ads in Wisconsin, by the way, went up prior to the Wisconsin primary. That's well before the general election. And none of those ads mentioned Trump. Details matter. Washington, D.C., which is the single most Democratic place in the country, 90% for Hillary, more than 90%, received more targeted ads from the Russians than Pennsylvania, which in the end, as you remember, went to Trump, and so on. As any political consultant could tell you, if you bothered to ask, ads like this accomplish nothing. They're a joke. And the Russians weren't much more effective offline in the real world. The rallies they organized on Facebook attracted almost no attendees, with one exception, an anti-Trump rally that was organized after the election solely for the sake of undermining the results of that election. So this was a minuscule operation that succeeded only by accident with the complicity of our news media. The goal was to undermine American society by fueling political division. And the Russians must be pleased by their handiwork, not because Trump was elected, but because our talking heads apparently share their goal of undermining faith in the results of a fair election. Chris Hahn is a former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, and he joins us tonight. So, Chris, I mean, if you look at the actual facts here, and this is not a defense of anybody meddling in our system, which is universal, as you know, since you know a million people, as I do, who work for other countries trying to influence our policy. It's everywhere. But in this case, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, let's be real. They did not a single thing of any effect at all. It was ludicrous. They spent more in D.C. than Pennsylvania. What?
Well, the ads are just part of what they did. They had thousands of fake identities on Facebook and Twitter that were rallying against the election of Hillary Clinton. Now, I'm not saying that that determined the election, but they surely were meddling in the election, and that's why 530 out of 535 members of Congress overwhelmingly voted for sanctions against Russia as a result of this, and the president, to this day, still has refused to enact them.
Okay, look, those are two separate questions. I mean, like, how honest do you want to be about the extent to which our policy is determined by the priorities of other countries? Let's be totally real. The fact that the overwhelming majority of Congress voted to do anything is not a sign it was a good idea or a proportionate response. Sanctions against Russia are a good idea if they help American strategic priorities, and a bad idea if they don't. And so, I mean, let's just address the facts. What specifically did the Russians, and I'm not defending the Russians, I'm just saying, compared to what? The Chinese, the Saudis? I mean, you want to talk real interference in our country? I mean, seriously.
Look, they were spending over $1 million a month in violation of our federal campaign finance laws. They were involved with our election. Now, whether or not that had an effect, I don't know. But they were meddling. H.R. McMaster even agrees that they were meddling. The only person who seems to not want to take action on this is the president of the United States.
Take action? Are you aware? Hold on. Let's just be real. And I just want to say, for the record, that I'm totally opposed to this, okay? So for any critics say, you never criticize the president, let me criticize the president by saying I think what we're doing in Syria is contrary to American interest, to put it mildly. But we are fighting Russia in Syria right now. We just killed a bunch of Russian citizens in Syria. Is that enough? Does that make you feel better about him not being a Russian agent? We're killing Russians.
You know what? I think the response needs to be very similar to the response we had for the Sony hack, where we responded proportionally with other cyber methods, which this country is perfectly capable of doing. And there are sanctions that the Congress voted on that the president should enact.
But please don't ignore my point, because it's a real one. Isn't it a little implausible to describe the president as a tool of Putin when we're killing Russians in Syria and opposing? Look, Russia's only base outside its own borders is in Syria, and we're challenging that militarily with thousands of Americans. That's not significant to you?
We're not intentionally engaging the Russians in Syria. We're not intentionally killing Russians in Syria.
Yes, we are.
To the extent that any Russians are being, to the extent any Russians are being hurt in Syria, that is not an intentional action of the United States of America.
They were killed by a drone. And it was clear that there was Russian military equipment they were in, and they were Russian contractors, and that was clear, too, and we killed them. Now, a lot of the left are happy about that. They want a war with Russia. Max Boot is agitating for one. I'm against it.
I don't want a war with anybody. I want to be very clear.
Well, we're getting one thanks to the lunatic rhetoric of the left, which is pushing this administration into a totally counterproductive
530
war.
members of Congress are not the left, Tucker. 530 members of Congress are mostly Republicans because they mostly control Congress.
But it doesn't make their judgment wise. I don't care if it's every single member of Congress, every city council and Illinois member. I don't care. That you can't justify that on the grounds that it helps America, because it doesn't.
Every intelligence agency in this country says that the Russians are still meddling in our democracy. And let me tell you something, the next time it might not help your side. It might be time for us to act right now on this.
It's not about helping anybody's side. Do you think, let me ask you a question, do you think the Saudis are meddling in our democracy more or less than the Russians are? What about the Chinese? Right now, do you think that?
I don't know, and I don't want to guess.
Oh, you don't know? You don't seem that interested in learning.
I would assume that they are.
Oh, yeah, well, they are.
I would assume that they are.
So if you compare the amount of money that the Saudi kingdom should we should we impose sanctions against Saudi Arabia? I'm just saying, let's be real.
We should impose sanctions on the Saudi Arabia because we don't need their oil anymore because we've got our own fuel sources.
What about China?
We don't need
what about
them
China,
anymore.
which is hacked into every mainframe the U.S. government maintains? Should we impose sanctions against China?
And the president during his campaign said he would act against China, yet he hasn't.
Do you think we should impose sanctions on China right now?
I think if they're engaged in cyber warfare against this country, we should respond in kind, and we should respond in kind, and we should impose sanctions, and we should bring them to the table to get them to stop.
Should we kill Chinese soldiers, do you think?
No, I don't think we should kill anybody. I am not for a hot war with any of these people.
But you're for sanctions against China
going on, and we have a president.
You get credit for honesty.
The president is right. Hold on. The president is right when he says that they're laughing at us in Moscow. They're laughing that they continue to do it and nobody's doing anything about it.
This is a joke,
and that's
man.
The president's
Russia
job.
is essentially a third world country that poses no long-term threat to us. China is taking over the world. And we're ignoring it because we're obsessed with this.
It's funny what you could do with a laptop and a troll farm.
Yeah, nothing, actually.
It's funny what you could do with a laptop and a troll farm.
All right, we're out of time. Chris Hahn, thank you. You are game, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tucker.
The press is fixated on guns, but it could be our own media who are turning kids into violent killers. Not a crazy idea, actually. We've got details.
This program is brought to you by Allstate. Are you in good hands?
I'm your phone. Stuck down here between your seat and your console, playing a little hide and seek. Cold. Warmer. Warmer. Up. Boiling. Jackpot. And if you've got cut rate car insurance, you could be picking up these charges yourself. So get Allstate, where agents help keep you protected from mayhem. Like me.
Mayhem is everywhere. Are you in good hands?
Constipated? Trust #1 doctor recommended Dulcolax. Use Dulcolax tablets for gentle, dependable relief, suppositories for relief in minutes, and Dulcoes for comfortable relief of hard stools. Dulcolax, designed for dependable relief.
You know what they say about the early bird? He gets the best deal on the perfect hotel by using TripAdvisor. That's because TripAdvisor lets you start your trip on the right foot by comparing prices from over 200 booking sites to find the right hotel for you at the lowest price, saving you up to 30%. You'll be bathing in savings. TripAdvisor. Check the latest reviews and lowest prices.
You won't see these folks at the post office. They have businesses to run. They have passions to pursue. How do they avoid trips to the post office? Stamps.com. Mail letters. Ship packages. All the amazing services of the post office right on your computer. Get a 4-week trial plus $100 in extras, including postage and a digital scale. Go to stamps.com/TV and never go to the post office again.
I've had muscle cramps for as long as I can remember, but now that I'm using TheraWorks Relief, they have stopped. This is the only thing in my entire life that has actually worked.
Get TheraWorks Relief today at TheraWorksRelief.com.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7 at Channel 115.
Coming up, America's new secret pleasure, Deal Dash. But first, the weather.
Yes! Sign here, please.
Another package from Deal Dash.
Thanks. Can you put it over there? I won! Don't worry, babe. On Deal Dash, shipping's always free.
Hey, wanna go shopping?
Can't. I'm in the middle of a really hot auction for some super cute stuff.
Mom, Are you on Deal Dash too?
Shush, I'm in the middle of a very important auction.
DealDash.com auctions thousands of cool new products and offers a 90-day money-back guarantee on your first bid pack purchase.
I won.
Wow! Mom, what'd you win?
Look, Mrs. K, I won.
Deal Dash, the fair and honest online auction site for exciting deals and always free shipping. Visit DealDash.com.
Last week's shooting in Parkland, Florida has sparked renewed demands for gun control across the country. Of course, America's gun ownership rate used to be a lot higher than it is today. Yet deadly school shootings are mostly a recent phenomenon. What has changed? Could it be our overall culture has undergone a toxic shift? Matt Bevin is the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. He recently suggested that violent video games and TV shows have created a, quote, desensitized culture. Governor joins us tonight. Governor, thanks for coming on.
Great to be on with you, Tucker.
So that is kind of the question. I mean, fewer American households own guns than did 50 years ago, and yet we didn't have school shootings. What do you think the difference is between then and now?
Yeah, I think the thing is to ask ourselves what has changed, because your point is well taken. If gun ownership itself has not changed, and if in fact it's not, there are more gun restrictions now. There are more rules about who can or can't own a gun or how a gun might be acquired than there were 50 and 100 years ago. And yet 50 and 100 years ago, children did not slaughter other children at school. What has changed? It isn't the gun. So something culturally has changed, and I would submit that we have become significantly desensitized to death and to violence. And we are training children, whether we intend to or not, whether it's anyone's desire or not, through video games, through movies, through musical lyrics, through television shows, increasingly during prime time even. The amount of violence is increasingly realistic, increasingly graphic. And there is a cost to this. You couple that with the number of psychiatric drugs that children and adults, for that matter, are on, and the number of warnings about depression and suicidal thoughts. You couple all that with the fact that our mores as a society have shifted to the degree that they're largely non-existent, that we no longer have these clear delineated right and wrong boundaries, that everything is somewhat gelatinous. And these children are increasingly coming from broken homes as well, and they find themselves rudderless. Then you're a father and you understand it's important. What happens at home has a profound impact on what your children do out there. Too many children don't have the blessings of having a stable environment at home. And we have to look at what has changed in society and not have a knee-jerk response that another rule and another regulation is the answer.
So everything you've said makes sense. I haven't seen the social science on it, but it doesn't sound crazy at all. It seems kind of obvious. Why, if you could just sum up quickly, why do you think saying what you just said gets such a hostile reaction from a lot of people? Why do they hate to hear that?
It does not fit the narrative that people want. And for 1,000 reasons, people have a preconceived notion that another gun restriction, for example, another rule, another regulation, another you can't do this, another governmental intervention of some sort is the answer. When in fact, nobody wants to look at what they have to look at if it's not that. And that is what our responsibility is in society as individuals, as parents, as teachers, as educators, as people in the churches and civic organizations and youth organizations. What are we not doing that was done a generation ago to provide the type of guidance that young people need as they grow up? And not the least of which is how you deal with differences of opinion. And I'll tell you one other thing, too, that I've not said, although I'm sure this will make people's heads explode in some regard as well. We are lionizing, sadly, some of these children who do this. Yeah. Again, not anyone's intention, but we're making heroes of a child who has no business to have their face put out there. Another young person who's in the balance, who's perhaps psychologically unbalanced, is going to say, why not? I'll get my 15 minutes worth of fame. If we don't think that there's a copycat mentality, we're not paying attention.
That's the nature of the internet. Governor, thank you. That was really interesting. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman is the author of the book Assassination Generation, and he joins us tonight. Colonel, thanks for coming on. So,
thanks for having me on board, Tucker. Hey, you just said, you haven't seen the social science on it yet.
I wanted to talk to you. So, this is the kind of idea that gets dismissed as crankish immediately by people who know nothing. The idea that violent video games are entertainment. Right. Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
so what do we know
class
about it? What is the social science on it? What is the evidence?
The AMA, the APA, the American Academy of Pediatrics, Surgeon General after Surgeon General have made definitive statements. Where the matter came before the Supreme Court, California law to regulate children's access to violent video games, the video game industry found 82 journalism professors. Now think about it, 82 media studies professors who told the Supreme Court there is no scientific proof. It was academic malfeasance at the highest level. Our entire medical community screaming from the mountainside. One of the dissenting justices in the Supreme Court case said, I'm not a medical expert, but I know who is. And it's not 82 journalism professors, our entire medical community, thousands of sound scholarly studies telling us.
I can't imagine anybody I'd less rather take advice from than journalism professor. I can't imagine a dumber group of people, actually.
Amen.
It's unbelievable.
And the malfeasance of journalism professors making a joint statement to the Supreme Court. But Tucker, here's what's important. Please look at this. It was 2002, an identical crime happened in Germany. 19-year-old high school dropout in Erfurt, Germany, murders 17 people in a school. Identical crime. Germany, 2002. It's not about the guns. Germany can't stop it. We saw this weekend a massacre in a church in Russia. Russia's a totalitarian nation that's tried to confiscate every gun for a century, and they can't stop evil people from getting guns. The most horrific juvenile mass murder in history, a 17-year-old kid in 2009 in Witten in Germany murdered 15 people. Germany can't stop it. Russia can't stop it. It's not about taking away rights.
Well, I
it's
noticed
about giving people more right.
But why are the media so hesitant to go after the big businesses that are profiting from this garbage? That's a question I'd like to explore in greater
voter
detail.
Base and their,
I know.
It's their donor base and their voter base. They know that they've lost the gun owners. They know that they've lost those votes. And to attack the gun owners, and especially to protect the video game industry, this is their donor base.
Well, that's exactly right. Lieutenant Colonel, thank you. I appreciate it, and I agree with you.
Hey, one last thing, Tucker, if I could.
Yeah.
We're teaching the kids that we need sheepdogs out there. We don't need more wolves. We don't need more sheep. We need sheepdogs. I originated the whole sheepdog concept. The Sheepdog Kids book, Assassination Generation. We're changing the world, Tucker. There's hope for America, and it begins with you. Thank you for what you do.
I appreciate it. Thanks. The left is extolling Russia's election meddling as a hyper-efficient hacking effort, but data suggest they were actually deeply, deeply incompetent. That story next.
Hey. Pass, please. I'm here to fix the elevator. Nothing's wrong with the elevator. Right. But you want to fix it. Right. So who sent you? New guy. What new guy? Watson.
My analysis of sensor and maintenance data indicates elevator 3 will malfunction in 2 days.
There you go. You still need a pass.
Do you need the most trusted battery in your noise-canceling headphones? Maybe not. Maybe you could trust you won't be next to a loud eater. Or you could just trust Duracell.
Once upon a time, there was a simple box. Inside it, the most comfortable mattress imaginable. Engineered by an award-winning team, on a Casper, life is but a dream.
More than 30,000 reviews, and nearly 1 million happy sleepers. Try the internet's favorite mattress for 100 nights, risk-free, with free shipping and returns. See the mattress everyone's talking about at Casper.com.
Since the beginning, man has been hunting the nutrients we need in a manageable form. Vitamins are traditionally packed with binders, excipients, less active ingredients, and excessive fillers. Now only the very important active ingredients are concentrated into Superior Source microlingual tablets. Soft molded microlingual tablets dissolve immediately in the mouth. The evolution of the vitamin is complete. Superior Source microlingual instant dissolve tablets. Ask for them at a store near you.
When it comes to travel, I sweat the details. Late checkout, down alternative pillows, and of course, price. TripAdvisor helps you book a hotel without breaking a sweat. because we now instantly search over 200 booking sites to find you the lowest price on the hotel you want. Don't sweat your booking. TripAdvisor, the latest reviews, the lowest prices.
Every time I smiled, I had to cover my mouth because I was so ashamed. When the denture slipped, I would have to excuse myself and go to the restroom virtually in tears. It kept me from being able to speak properly. I could not eat corn, apples, baby back ribs. I did not want dentures to be part of my life. I pretty much decided dental implants were the route I was going to take.
Let's do a head-to-head comparison of dental implants versus dentures. With dentures, the ability to taste food, to bite and chew is altered. The worst thing about dentures, bone loss. When you put an implant inside the bone, which is like the root of a tooth, now you preserve the bone. It's a game changer. With implants, you walk into a restaurant, you order anything you want. You eat just like you have real teeth.
Before you knew it, here I was with my brand new teeth.
Schedule your free consultation today. We'll even talk about financing options.
I can smile, my confidence is back.
Call Clear Choice today.
Where are we taking him?
I have no clue. We're just TV doctors. If this was a real emergency, I'd be freaking out. We are the TV Doctors of America.
Together with Cigna, reminding you
to go, know, and take control of your health.
Schedule your annual checkup today.
Former Hillary Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta had a hilarious exchange this weekend on CBS. Nancy Cordes asked why the Russians seemed more capable of targeting swing states than the Hillary campaign did. Watch this.
How is it that these Russian operatives knew to focus on purple states like Michigan and Wisconsin, and your campaign didn't?
Well, of course, we spent a lot of time and energy and effort in all those states.
Hillary Clinton herself did not spend much time in those states.
At the end of the day, we fell short in those states, and I think that this active measures effort by the Russians could have tilted the election in Donald Trump's favor.
Keep telling yourself that. Actually, the Russians turned out not to be very good campaign operatives. They were terrible at targeting swing states. According to Robert Mueller's indictments, they didn't even know what a purple state was until 2016. Just a few $100 were spent on key states like Michigan and Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, thousands were wasted in states like California and Maryland that obviously were going Democrat from day one, and did. Cleta Mitchell is an attorney and a renowned campaign finance expert who's been around a long time watching campaigns. She joined us in the studio. So, Cleta, if you were attempting to defeat Donald Trump, or rather Hillary Clinton in favor of Trump, would you have done what the Russians did?
Well, I would have spent a lot more than $100,000 or $46,000 or whatever number it is that the Senate Intelligence Committee actually heard testimony from Facebook that they can only account for $46,000 having been spent. Total.
So why are we hearing $1 million a month? I just heard that.
I know. I heard it today, too. I think that it's in the Democratic talking points. They keep having to change the facts so that they can make it look like there was a lot more.
But does that number come from anywhere authoritative?
Not that I've seen. The testimony from Facebook was that it was $46,000. Testimony before the Senate Intelligence Committee, the hearing, was that it was in the neighborhood of $100,000.
So
total.
So just to put, okay, so this was the most expensive presidential campaign ever waged by anybody in the history of the world. So $46,000, put that in perspective. If I were running for, I don't know, the Wyoming's 1 congressional district, that seat, would I spend $46,000? Would that be enough?
You'd spend a lot more than that if you were running for an at-large seat in Wyoming. Or look, I mean, the campaigns, the Trump campaign and the Hillary Clinton campaign together spent $81 million on Facebook.
Just on Facebook?
On social media.
Yeah.
Social media. Now, that doesn't count all the super PACs. It doesn't count the party committees. Just the 2 campaigns. So the money that was spent by the Russians on social media was a drop in the bucket. And as Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein said the other day, there's no evidence it influenced the outcome of the election.
How many lobbyists here in Washington do you know who spend more on lunch every year than the Russians spend on Facebook?
Well, I don't know. I don't get their lunch expense reimbursement.
So look, I just want to be totally clear. I'm against foreign intervention in our elections, in our policies, though it's universal. But would you say, compared to the efforts of other governments to influence the way this country operates, that this is a big effort or a small effort?
Well, I think, you know what, Tucker, you asked, that's a really good question, because frankly, I think Andy McCarthy in National Review over the weekend made a really good point, which is Why is this being treated as a lawsuit? This is counterintelligence. This is what should be dealt with by our defense and intelligence agencies, not by a prosecutor filing a criminal indictment against people who are not in the United States, and this is never going to go to trial.
No, I know.
So it's kind of all...
because it's inherently political. It's a political kabuki.
It's a political kabuki.
To make the ruling class feel better about itself for
right.
losing
Well, you know what?
Wisconsin.
They actually should feel worse because it shows, and the president is right, this does not show any kind of collusion, cooperation whatsoever with the Trump campaign. The only collusion there might be that we ought to really look at is what's been going on with the left and the Russians since the election.
Or how about since 1917?
Well, how about that?
Excuses for the
How about
Bolsheviks
that?
for 70 years. Whatever, some of us remember. Lita, thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you.
Thank you.
The next U.S. Census is just 2 years away and could be having your voting power diluted by illegal immigrants. That's a real thing. We'll explain how it works next.
Honda knows winters can be brutal. That's why we travel to Baudette, Minnesota, to find out how the Honda Pilot, equipped with available intelligent traction management and all-wheel drive, performs in severe driving conditions. If this is how it handles here, imagine how it handles out there.
Are you hiring great people?
I get more talented people through the door through Indeed than any other job search that I use.
Indeed delivers 6 times more hires than any other job site. Post a job in minutes, and Indeed will help you zero in on just the right candidates. Plus, there are no upfront costs or long-term contracts.
Nothing has ever been this easy, this simple, and this effective.
Right now, start your first job posting with free premium placement. Search for greatness. Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
When it's time to sell your home, one wrong move can cost a lot of money. You need a real estate agent who will do things right. Sell your home fast and at a great price. Introducing HomeLight, a breakthrough new way to sell your home. HomeLight has detailed stats on the top agents in home sales in your neighborhood, so you know you're getting the best agent for your needs. Thousands use HomeLight to find experienced agents they can trust to sell their homes faster and for more money. Go to HomeLight.com today.
If you drive a personal car for work and don't track your business miles, you could be losing thousands of dollars unless you have MileIQ by Microsoft. It's the app that automatically detects all of your business miles so you get a great deduction or reimbursement. MileIQ provides comprehensive reporting that shows you how much you save with each drive. The average MileIQ subscriber deducts $547 a month. That's $6,900 a year. So take control, download it for free, and join the millions of drivers who trust MileIQ by Microsoft.
I'm a breakfast person. But what's really important for you in a hotel? Location? Cleanliness? Or maybe the quality of your bed? Well, you're in luck, because Trivago's got you covered. Trivago shows you how all the things you like in a hotel stack up against other hotels. Ratings for breakfast, location, and even cleanliness are calculated from more than 140 million reviews. I'll take that. And that's just one more way Trivago helps you find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
My mom has always loved volunteering at the local rescue center, but she recently had a fall, and I worry because I know she won't slow down. So I went online and found the new Lively Mobile from Great Call. It's a mobile medical alert device with fall detection, and now she takes it everywhere. It's so reassuring knowing she can get help anywhere with just the press of a button.
One touch in any unsafe or uncertain situation, you'll be immediately connected to a highly trained agent who can confirm your location, assess the situation, and get you the help you need.
There's even a free link app that connects my mom's Lively Mobile to my smartphone, so I'll be notified right away if something does happen. I'm so happy that my mom can keep doing what she loves, and she's happy too, knowing I don't have to worry.
Go to greatcall.com/coupon to get 25% off at these fine retailers.
Exclusively from Great Call.
Learn more at greatcall.com.
Friends, colleagues, gathered here are the world's finest insurance experts. Rodney, mastermind of discounts like Safe Driver, Paperless, the list goes on.
How about a discount for long lists?
Gold. Mara, you save our customers hundreds for switching almost effortlessly.
It's a gift.
And Jamie.
Present.
Together, we are unstoppable. So, What are we gonna do? Insurance. That's kind of what we do here.
At least one politician in Europe is fearlessly raising an alarm about the kind of society European elites want to create, one that is rejected unanimously almost by European citizens. In a speech yesterday kicking off his party's bid for re-election, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban warned that politicians in Brussels, Berlin, and Paris are going to destroy Western civilization with their enthusiasm for mass migration. Left unchecked, he said, Europe could end up with a Muslim majority, while the continent's Christian culture would be blotted out. Orban is not crazy, actually, on a math level here. Hungary's population is below 10 million. Its birth rate is not high. It wouldn't take a huge wave of immigration from Muslim nations to overrun and eventually obliterate a culture that has existed for thousands of years. In America, that's considered a small point. Who cares? But if you've been there for a millennium, maybe you do care. Polls show that more or less most Europeans agree with that. Last year, majorities in Germany, France, Italy, Belgium, and several other countries said they wanted a total freeze on immigration from Muslim countries. Naturally, though, EU leaders denounce Orban as authoritarian. Hilarious. Considering the source, their motto effectively is do what we tell you, or you hate democracy. How's that for Orwellian? Well, this country is set to have its next census in 2020. That's delineated in the Constitution. We have to every 10 years. Unless policies change, the census will be counting illegal aliens the same as everybody else. The census hasn't asked about citizenship status since 1950, meaning that a lot of states get a boost to their congressional representation because of the illegal immigrants in their state. This is a problem. It's not democratic. Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach says it is time to change that, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Secretary, thanks for coming on.
Great to be with you.
So the Constitution says you have to have a census to apportion congressional districts.
Yep.
And so the only people whose information matters are citizens. So it matters whether they're citizens or not, correct?
It absolutely does. Think of it this way. There are 710,000 people per representative in Congress. But if you live in a district like Maxine Waters' district out in California, probably half or more of your district is illegal aliens. And so you may only have 350 citizens voting in your district. Those citizens' vote counts twice as much as my vote or your vote if you live in a district that doesn't have tons of illegal aliens. So you have vote dilution, where some people's vote matters more than others because they have tons of illegal aliens in their district.
But wait a second. I thought the liberals are always yelling about how every vote counts, every vote should matter the same as any other vote.
Yeah.
So why would they be for this?
Well, I think it's a dirty little secret that they don't want to talk about. And you're absolutely right. The 1964 decision of the Supreme Court, Westbury versus Sanders, says voting dilution is unconstitutional. You cannot have one congressional district where there are fewer voters than there are in another district. And because of illegal immigration, we have crazy disproportional, extraordinary numbers where, you know, in a Midwestern seat, you might have to get 120,000 votes to win your election. In Waters' district, you might only need 40,000.
So what's the? I don't understand the argument. I mean, the answer is really simple. Just check a box. Are you a citizen or not? Are you allowed to vote legally? That's the whole point of the census. So
exactly.
What's the argument against that?
The only argument against it that I have heard is a really lame one. They say that people will be afraid to answer the census form if it has the citizenship question, which is ridiculous, first of all. And secondly, we already asked the citizenship question on the American Community Survey, which about 1% of the population gets, and the Census Bureau asks that. It's an ongoing survey. The Democrats never complained about that. Only when suddenly we talk about putting the citizenship question back on the census do the people on the left start.
But why should we care if people who aren't allowed to vote in our elections are afraid to answer a census which is designed to apportion congressional districts?
Well, there's that too. If you're illegally in this country, we shouldn't be considering you a resident anyway, because you could go home at any day. You could be deported at any moment. So why in the world would we be worried about counting you?
Why would your feelings matter more than a fair election?
Exactly. And it's not just fair elections, too. Governments need this information. I as Secretary of State, cannot accurately calculate the registration rate, the percentage of eligible people who are registered, unless I know how many citizens I have. And right now, I just have an estimate. I don't have real numbers.
That is crazy. Secretary of State Chris Kobach of Kansas, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Good to see you. We're not huge fans of Congresswoman Maxine Waters, but surely she doesn't tolerate support for suicide bombings. I mean, she's not that crazy or anything. Or maybe she is. That story next.
Guess what I just got? Hello, Dad. That's a big fella.
Oh, my phone.
You built the flame that warms my heart, but your lying and cheating has torn us apart. And I'm moving on.
Whatever it is that makes your business great, promote it with Vistaprint. Choose from banners, postcards, or business cards, each starting at less than $10 when you enter TV10 at Vistaprint.com.
You totaled your brand new car. Nobody's hurt, but there will still be pain. It comes when your insurance company says they'll only pay 3/4 of what it takes to replace it. What are you supposed to do, drive 3/4 of a car? Now, if you had Liberty Mutual new car replacement, you'd get your whole car back. I guess they don't want you driving around on 3 wheels. Smart.
With Liberty Mutual new car replacement, we'll replace the full value of your car. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Hannity's back at CPAC. Sean heads to D.C. to hear from the people and gets can't-miss interviews from the biggest names. Live coverage from the event starts Wednesday on a special Hannity.
I'm not cut out for an office job, so I prefer working in public cafes and in co-working places. Sharing same Wi-Fi spots can lead to some really serious invasions. VPN gives me peace of mind when I use unsecured public networks.
NordVPN secures your internet traffic with strong encryption. It offers easy access to hundreds of servers. Get NordVPN for only $4 a month. Visit nordvpn.com/TV now.
My name is Jeff Sheldon, and I'm the founder of UgMonk. Before ShipStation, it was crazy. Like, it's great when you see, 100 orders come in, but then you realize I got 100 orders that I actually have to ship out. ShipStation streamlined that whole process. The order data, the weights of the items, everything is seamlessly put into ShipStation. So when we print the shipping label, everything's pretty much done. It's so much easier. So now we're ready, bring on the orders.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/try and get 2 months free.
When I was growing up, I was among the 1 in 6 American kids who struggle with hunger. And hungry mornings make tired days.
Grumpy days. Bleh kind of days.
But with the power of breakfast, the kids in your neighborhood can think big and be more.
When we're not hungry for breakfast, we're hungry for more. More ideas. More dreams. More fun.
When kids aren't hungry for breakfast, they can be hungry for more. Go to hungeris.org and lend your time or your voice to make breakfast happen for kids in your neighborhood.
Oh golly, here comes another season of Dr. Pole. Rampaging horse, seen it. Delivering baby cows, he did it last year, and he'll do it again. Even, hold on a second, why is there a wallaby in Michigan? Wow, okay. Looks like I'm gonna watch The Incredible Dr. Pole. New episodes, Saturdays at 9 on Nat Geo Wild.
We've had a lot to say about Congresswoman Maxine Waters on this show, but somehow she keeps giving us excuses to say even more. In 2002, Waters attended a Nation of Islam convention. What happened there? Not much, really, except this. Louis Farrakhan showed up, and shortly after celebrating Waters as, quote, a great congresswoman, Louis Farrakhan began praising Palestinian suicide bombers, of course, and then praised Iran for helping arm them. Waters apparently wasn't bothered by this. Of course not. Lawrence Jones is editor-in-chief of Campus Reform, and he joins us tonight. It's like one of those stories. It's like you can't even believe it's real. But I don't think it's going to run in the New York Times tomorrow. Why is that?
Of course it's not, because with the left, they have double standards on what is actually hateful and what's racism. And they have double standards, Tucker. You know, this shouldn't be surprising about the Nation of Islam because they have been known to rape women within the religion. They have been known to go after people that they dislike and people that leave the faith. Just ask Malcolm X, who got assassinated because he decided to leave the faith. And so this is a pattern with this organization, but the left has different standards on what they feel is hateful, because remember, what they teach on the college campuses today, Tucker, is that if you're not in power, which they consider minorities not in power, then you can't be racist. And this is something that is going to go on for a long time, Tucker, because no one is standing up for free speech. No one is standing against this hateful rhetoric. We try to report it every day at the Leadership Institute's Campus Reform, but a lot of the mainstream media is not covering this.
Well, what's interesting, and I should just say, in the interest of total disclosure and honesty, I know some people in the Nation of Islam who are really nice guys, actually, but there's no defending their, I mean, they are, but there's no defending their core beliefs, which are racist by definition. I mean, they think that God is going to kill all white people. So that's racist, I would say. Isn't it a little patronizing for the press to give Maxine Waters a pass on associating with someone like this as if it doesn't matter? They have such low expectations for her, I guess, that they don't even call her on it? I mean, that's patronizing, I think.
Well, it's not just patronizing, Tucker. It would be different if they were silent on all of these instances of racism. But you know, when it comes to Donald Trump, he doesn't even have to say anything that's actually racist. But in their mind, they can form something that is racist, and you're told that he's vile, and if you support him, then you're a hateful person. But now you have a clear evidence of racism, and they're completely silent on that. And so it's just a bunch of hypocrisy with the press, and I think that's why their approval rating is so low right now with the American people, because they really don't trust the press.
Yeah, it's higher than it deserves to be. It's like how Ted Kennedy could kill a woman and still be considered a great feminist. So, and then there's this picture of Obama with Farrakhan, which was hidden from public view. This was 2005, so it was right before his Senate run. And it was considered too inflammatory for the rest of us to see, and so the press hid it from us. Don't you think we should have had the opportunity to make our own judgments about that?
Yeah, we should have had the opportunity, but the thing is, Tucker, is that the media around in Chicago knew about this. I mean, the Nation of Islam headquarters is in Chicago. They were known to hang out with these elected officials. The question is, not only did they shield this photo, but why did the press refuse to report on this when the local press, as well as the national press, anybody that worked in Chicago knew that they hung out together, but they refused to tell the American people?
Yeah, I mean, Obama had according to a Nation of Islam guy we talked to, had a Nation of Islam employee or adherent working in his Senate office in Illinois. It's like a cover up.
Right,
Lawrence,
it was well known.
Exactly. Lawrence, thank you for that. That was great to see you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Well, the national anthem somehow has become a divisive topic in the past year, but the pop star Fergie managed to unite the whole country behind never letting her sing it again. That story is next.
Dear Freshpet, I was in the Air Force and got seriously hurt. It was the worst time in my life, until I met Tank. You really could say he's a rescue dog. So when he got heavy and his energy slumped, it was my turn to be there for him. That's when I found Freshpet. He seemed to love it, and sure enough, he got down to his ideal weight. Freshpet put the puppy back in my dog, and gave me back my best friend.
Meeting people is my life. I had to be careful how wide I would open my mouth because I was embarrassed to show my teeth. It was time to do something for myself that was going to be permanent.
The Clear Choice one-day approach is making dental implants a reality for people all over the country who suffer from missing or failing teeth.
I felt like I was the most important person on earth to them.
Bill came in, bad teeth, discomfort, pain. We needed to get him into a smile that he felt confident in. We have expertise that you might not find anywhere else, all in one location.
The next day, I had a new smile. Couldn't wait to show some folks. It's amazing what a smile can do for a person.
Discover why this is so much more than another dental procedure. It's a true life changer. With over 30,000 new smiles and counting, we're lifting spirits and confidence all over America. Schedule your free consultation today. We'll even talk about financing options.
I'm eating corn on the cob. I had the best smile I'd ever had in my life.
Call Clear Choice today.
When it comes to travel, I sweat the details. late checkout, down alternative pillows, and of course, price. TripAdvisor helps you book a hotel without breaking a sweat. Because we now instantly search over 200 booking sites to find you the lowest price on the hotel you want. Don't sweat your booking. TripAdvisor, the latest reviews, the lowest prices.
1000bulbs.com is the place to go for lighting fixtures and bulbs where the price is low.
I love their selection.
I save money buying online.
I can help and give suggestions.
I'll get your light bulbs there on time.
It's the #1 place where lighting is sold. We ship within 1 day. We're 1000 bulbs.
Visit 1000bulbs.com/Hannity.
Throughout my life, I've always tried to be there for the people around me. Now, things have changed. I'm so grateful to have an angel who truly cares for me.
It's so rewarding to be a part of his life and make a difference when he needs it the most.
Visiting Angels, America's choice in home care.
Are you hiring great people or hoping for great people?
I get more talented people through the door through Indeed than any other job search that I use.
Indeed delivers 6 times more hires than any other job site. It's no wonder over 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring.
Indeed.com just gives me so many more qualified applicants to choose from.
Post a job in minutes, and Indeed will help you zero in on just the right candidates, so you can hire faster.
Nothing has ever been this easy, this simple, and this effective.
Plus, there are no upfront costs or long-term contracts.
Does it get any better than that? I don't think so.
To accelerate your hiring, Indeed offers premium placement to give your listing more exposure to relevant job seekers, which allows you to hire even faster. And right now, start your first job posting with free premium placement. Redeem now at Indeed.com/TV1. Search for greatness. Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
For the land of the free. And the home of the
Well, the national anthem has depressingly been a divisive topic in this past year, this year of political obsession, but no more. Singer Fergie sang the anthem Sunday at an NBA All-Star game and gave a strange, slowed-down jazz rendition that was so off-putting that everybody in America is now united in opposition to it, even Fergie herself, who, in her defense, did try hard. But she's apologized, saying, quote, "I'm a risk taker artistically, but clearly this rendition didn't strike the intended tone. I love this country, and I honestly tried my best," which is kind of sweet, actually. Look at the bright side, though. At least we're now debating the anthem itself and not people protesting during it. We close tonight's show with one final thought on the gun control debate. Lately, even nominal conservatives are demanding a crackdown on guns. Max Boot of the Washington Post says the Second Amendment has become a suicide pact. Not sure what that means, but he says it with great vehemence. Bret Stephens says the Second Amendment should be repealed outright. Surely some new regulations will stop shootings, they believe, and if you had to put money on it, you'd bet those regulations are coming. Well, the meme makers of the internet have the same thought, and a meme very much like this one is making the rounds online tonight. It says this: if we make guns illegal, then no one will get shot anymore. That's how we stopped everybody from doing drugs. So true. Thanks for a great show. Sean's next. Hey, Sean.
Hey, Tucker, great show. And welcome to Hannity Tonight, a Hannity investigation. If foreign nationals trying to impact an election is a crime, Hillary Clinton, the DNC, Fusion GPS, and former British spy Christopher Steele, they should be very concerned. We'll explain all of this. And brand new tonight, the president blasting the corrupt media, the Democrats, after the special counsel's indictment of 13 Russian nationals confirmed everything he's been saying. They're not telling you this. There was no Trump-Russia collusion. The Russian interference did not impact the election outcome. We also have a report tonight, Byron York, laying out why the media and Democrats are overblowing what is in Mueller's indictment. His analysis tonight will stun you. The Russians spent as little more than $3,000 on Facebook ads in key swing states where Hillary Clinton wasn't even bothering to campaign. And this election meddling, it shouldn't be a surprise, which we will explain. It has been going on for decades. Just ask President Barack Obama. We have damning videos to show you. And later, big breaking news from Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He is saying tonight that the DOJ, FISA abuses, and the Clinton bought and paid for dossier will be investigated. Finally. First, tonight's opening monologue. All right, tonight we start with President Barack Obama ignoring a major warning in 2014 that Russia would try to, in fact, interfere in America's elections. So, what did Obama do in 2016, 2015, 2014? Did he even try to stop it? Absolutely not. Instead, just weeks before the election, listen to what then President Obama said.
I have never seen in my lifetime or in modern political history any presidential candidate trying to discredit the elections and the election process before votes have even taken place. It's unprecedented. It happens to be based on no facts. There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections. There's no evidence that that has happened in the past or that there are instances in which that will happen this time. And so I'd advise Mr. Trump to stop whining and go try to make his case to get votes.
No serious person? Really, Barack Obama? He owes you, the American people, tonight an explanation. Why didn't he know? And better yet, how did he not know when he was warned in 2014? That sounds like a dereliction of duty. So it's time for President Obama to start talking, maybe even under oath. And now that you have that important background information, it makes sense why the president is firing back against this completely biased news media in this country and the Democratic Party that have wanted to destroy him from day one over this phony Russia collusion conspiracy theory. Now, the facts do not matter to the left. They have now managed to convince themselves by repeating their talking points in their echo chamber that somehow, in some way, President Trump colluded with the Russians, even though, as we have repeatedly pointed out, long over a year, to this day, there is no evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. Now, the only concrete evidence of collusion with Russia that we have is Hillary Clinton and her bought and paid for dossier that's filled with Russian lies, Russian government lies, and propaganda and salacious details that were never verified. She used that, bought that to influence an election. So just like he always does, President Trump, he's fighting back. And he's fighting back on Twitter to react to Mueller's indictment of these 13 Russian nationals for the 2016 election meddling. Now, the president writes, quote, how funny that the fake news media doesn't want to say the Russian group was formed in 2014, long before my run for president. Maybe they knew I was going to run even though I did not know. Robert Mueller's indictment clearly lays out that this Russian attempt to influence the election, it started in 2014 under Obama's watch, and he was warned, and he did nothing to stop it. In fact, by the way, go back to 2012 during a presidential debate. Remember Barack Obama mocking Mitt Romney for saying Russia still posed a very serious foreign policy threat. Mitt Romney was right. Obama was wrong. And, of course, the media ignored all the key facts and findings in the Mueller indictment. Now, you in the media, you corrupt people in the media, you need to listen closely, very closely, to what the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, said while announcing the charges on Friday. Pay very close attention. You may actually learn something.
Now, there is no allegation in this indictment that any American was a knowing participant in this illegal activity. There is no allegation in the indictment that the charged conduct altered the outcome of the 2016 election. After the election, the defendants allegedly staged rallies to support the president-elect while simultaneously staging rallies to protest his election. For example, The defendants organized one rally to support the president-elect and another rally to oppose him, both in New York on the same day.
Wait, did I just hear it? No Americans were wittingly involved in this Russian effort. Now, the main goal of Russia was to sow widespread political discord. And after the election, these Russian cyber trolls, what did they do? They were trying to undermine the president-elect, Donald Trump. They were organizing dueling Trump rallies in New York City and an anti-Trump rally in Charlotte, North Carolina. Instead of focusing what is actually in this Mueller indictment, what Rod Rosenstein said, that corrupt media of yours, they're trying to use it to further their fake news Russia conspiracy narrative. Take a look. We have the proof.
And really the goal here was simple: damage Hillary Clinton and elect Donald Trump. And these Russians allegedly went to great lengths.
He's found this incredible network of meddling, and now he has kind of a stronger basis on which to go and look at collusion, the emails. This didn't deal with the hacking of the emails and the issue of obstruction of justice.
What's going on here is establishing an underlying crime, and then anything henceforth is going to be conspiracy to obstruct or to collude.
There may well be information. There may well be lots of evidence that there was not only unwitting but witting assistance from the Trump campaign.
I think that the president has continued to abdicate responsibility here about leading the country in response to an attack on the most core fundamental part of our democracy, our free and fair elections.
He's the dumbest attorney on TV. What the Destroy Trump media also missed were key points and pieces of information about what is not in the Mueller indictment. It has nothing about Donald Trump colluding with the Russians. By the way, we still have zero evidence. I'm waiting. It says nothing about members of the Trump campaign colluding with the Russians. It says nothing about Donald Trump Jr. colluding with the Russians. It says nothing about the president obstructing justice. Liberal media, are you paying attention? Do you even care about the truth? Now, President Trump has been saying that fact over and over and over again. Take a look.
There has been no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russians, or Trump and Russians. No collusion. But bottom line, they all say there's no collusion. And there is no collusion. There was absolutely no collusion. Everybody knows it.
Let's put it this way. There is absolutely no collusion. That has been proven. There is absolutely no collusion. I didn't make a phone call to Russia. I have nothing to do with Russia. Everybody knows it. What has been shown is no collusion. No collusion. There's been absolutely no collusion.
Now, the president also tweeted this weekend, quote, "I never said Russia did not meddle in the election. I said it may be Russia or China or another country or group, or it may be a 400-pound genius sitting in bed and playing with his computer. The Russian hoax was that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia, and it never did." And then he added, quote, "If it was the goal of Russia to create discord, disruption, chaos within the U.S., then with all the committee hearings, investigations, and party hatred, they have succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They are laughing their asses off in Moscow. Get smart, America." Think about it. The president's right. For over a year, Russia has in fact been laughing at us. Democrats, the media, have been playing right into Putin's hands by creating chaos and political discord, just what they wanted. And frankly, it's working better than Russia could have ever dreamed of. Now, that is what this Russian effort was all about, causing chaos, political unrest in this country. Now, the Washington Examiner's Byron York, he'll join us later tonight. He is out with a great article, which is entitled "A Non-Alarmist Reading of the Mueller Russia Indictment." Now, in the piece, York makes some very key points, namely that Russians started all of this in 2014. Donald Trump wasn't running. The focus was on damaging Hillary Clinton. Remember, because everyone thought she was going to win. All of you in the media, you were laughing at the idea of Donald Trump running. Now, Byron York also cites figures from the Senate Intelligence Committee that in the key battleground states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, the Russians only spent $3,000 on Facebook ads. Now, also, the indictment is very vague about how much these Russian trolls spent on social media ads. It only says they spent, quote, thousands every month. Now, that number is small when you compare it to the combined $2.4 billion that the Clinton and Trump campaign spent during the election, mostly Clinton. That's not that much money. Also, tonight, a Facebook executive, He's sounding off about the Russia investigation. His name is Rob Goldman. He's the vice president of advertising at Facebook. He set the record straight on Twitter over the weekend, writing, quote, "The majority of the Russian ads spent happened after the election, their spend." Now, we shared that fact, but very few outlets have covered it because it doesn't align with the main media narrative of Trump and the election. And he goes on, quote, "The main goal of the Russian propaganda and misinformation effort is to divide America by using our institutions like freedom of speech, social media against us. It has stoked fear and hatred amongst Americans. It is working incredibly well. We are quite divided as a nation. Even Facebook is throwing cold water on the media's fake news narrative about Mueller's indictment." Now, let's get back to Obama's failure to stop this Russian interference. Congressman Devin Nunes, back in 2014, he raised a red flag that, yes, Vladimir Putin needed to be watched closely. But Obama didn't seem to care. And even 2 weeks before the election, he's lecturing Trump. Stop whining. It could never happen here. Now, remember, as NBC News pointed out, Obama didn't do more to combat Russia. He thought Hillary was a shoo-in. Why interrupt this? And what's even more disturbing is that there were even earlier warning signs from Russia. We have been telling you on this program how Vladimir Putin had Russian operatives inside America, right here on our soil, and how they were involved in a sophisticated plot. It started in 2009. It had a main objective to get a foothold in America's uranium market. We actually had an FBI informant. We now know his name, Douglas Campbell. And we've been telling you about this guy. This guy now has testified before 3 congressional committees, and literally he was uncovering at the time in 2009 and 10 that Putin and his operatives were involved in bribery and kickbacks and money laundering and racketeering and extortion, all while corrupt Uranium One deal, that was all being approved 18 months later. He couldn't understand why they didn't take his intelligence. And that gave Russia, a hostile foreign actor, control of 20% of America's uranium? Who would be this stupid to do this? Well, apparently Obama and Hillary Clinton and Eric Holder, and then at the time, the FBI Director Robert Mueller. And by the way, Mueller, when are you going to answer questions about this? America already, we don't have enough uranium, the foundational material for nuclear weapons. Why would we give 20% to a hostile nation, Russia, and a hostile actor, Putin? It never made sense. It doesn't make sense. And here we are years later, and the media, the Democrats, they are shocked. They're just flabbergasted that Russia would ever even dare to try to influence our election, even though, as I just explained, they were easily able to be involved in bribery, extortion, kickbacks, money laundering, and secure 20% of America's uranium. Why would they stop? They already know we're being stupid. Plus, has the left forgotten what President Obama tried to do to Israel? Oh, influencing elections is wrong? Tell that to the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, America's closest ally in the Middle East. Remember, the congressional investigation found that back in 2014, an Israeli political group used 300,000 taxpayer dollars, the Obama State Department, in a grant to create a political apparatus to try and defeat our closest ally in the Middle East, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. And it doesn't stop there. The U.S., if it's so wrong, we've been involved in influencing elections. That dates back to places like Italy, Iran, Guatemala, Chile, Nicaragua. And those are just a few examples. And take a look at what the former CIA director, James Woolsey, told Laura Ingraham about the U.S. and how we interfere in foreign elections. Take a look.
Have we ever tried to meddle in other countries' elections?
Oh, probably, but it was for the good of the system in order to avoid the communists from taking over. For example, in Europe in 47, 48, 49, the Greeks and the Italians, we
don't do that now, though. We don't mess around in other people's elections,
only for a very good cause.
Can you do that? Do a Vine video on a former CIA director.
Only for a very good cause in the interests of democracy.
Right.
Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying America should not be doing this. I do believe we ought to be doing this on a regular basis. I believe in intelligence. I believe in covert operations, plausible deniability. I believe in it all. Thank God we have good people in the CIA, the intelligence community, FBI, and others, military, that are doing this every day. But it's beyond naive to think that this wouldn't happen to us, especially given Russia's success with Uranium One back in 2009 and 10. And another, by the way, is, acting surprised by the Russian election meddling. All these people in the media, they're either flat out lying to you or they're just totally ignorant. You pick. Now, either the Obama administration was not prepared for Russia trying to interfere in our election, or his administration made a choice to ignore the threat. Probably the latter. Probably because they thought Hillary was going to win. It's that simple. And that's why President Obama tonight, if you really care about this, owes you, the American people, an explanation. Now, also breaking at this hour, now that Robert Mueller has indicted the 13 Russian nationals, very serious legal questions are being raised about Hillary Clinton, about the DNC, about the law firm Perkins Coie, about Fusion GPS, and about that former British spy Christopher Steele. Now, think about this. Look at this headline from the website Law and Crime. Quote, does Mueller indictment mean Clinton campaign can be indicted for Christopher Steele? Wait a minute. Is there a double standard? The article makes some fascinating legal points. For example, Robert Mueller indicted the Russian trolls in part for failing to register as foreign agents and for not reporting their activities to the Federal Elections Commission. Okay, if that's the legal standard that Robert Mueller has set up, fine. Then the special counsel should also be looking into Hillary Clinton, the DNC, Fusion GPS, Perkins Coie, and Christopher Steele. And here's why. Steele is a foreign citizen, a former British spy. He was paid by Fusion GPS through that law firm, Perkins Coie, the law firm tied to the Clinton campaign and the DNC. We've not seen anything to suggest that Steele was a registered foreign agent, that he reported to the FCC that he was being compensated. Okay, if that's all true, given that information, well, that would mean that Fusion GPS, Perkins Coie, the DNC, the Clinton campaign, and Christopher Steele should all be in serious legal jeopardy. At a very minimum, Mueller should be investigating them. Or is there a double standard, Mr. Mueller? Now, there's already been a complaint filed with the FEC against the Clinton campaign and the DNC, accusing them of violating campaign finance laws for failing to disclose the up to $12 million that was shelled out to fund the dossier. And we know that the dossier was used to influence the election. That was the whole point, to use lies to manipulate you, the American people. We also know now that it was also used by the FBI to get that FISA warrant to spy on the Trump campaign and in an election year, an opposition party candidate. Now, that is the only evidence we have after over a year, going on a year and a half, of Russian collusion in 2016 that we know exists. Here with reaction, Fox News contributor, investigative reporter Sarah Carter, civil rights, criminal defense attorney David Schoen, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett. What about that legal argument
that Robert Barnes was making in Law and Crime? It's a great legal argument. Look, it's going to end badly for Glenn Simpson and Fusion GPS. They well knew that they were taking money from a political campaign and paying it to a foreign national, Christopher Steele. It's a violation of the campaign laws, and it's also a conspiracy to engage illegally with an unregistered foreign agent. So he's in big trouble, Fusion GPS, Christopher Steele. The question is, did Hillary Clinton actually know this along with the DNC? And if they did,
that's her campaign money.
That's right. But, she would claim, oh, gee, I didn't know how all my money was spent. She will always claim.
Sarah, I want to bring you into this, and then we'll get David's take on this, because you have a piece about Andrew Weissman. I also want to investigate Robert Mueller now, because if that is the argument that they're using against the Russian nationals, why wouldn't it apply here? But then again, look at the team he appointed, your breaking news article about Andrew Weissman.
That's correct, Sean. I mean, if you just look at Andrew Weissman, the case of Andrew Weissman on its face, we have half of the special counsel, half of the people that were appointed by Robert Mueller were openly donors to Hillary Clinton. So we know that, one, for a fact. Two, Andrew Weissman was reprimanded in the past quite extensively, in one case in 1997 by a judge for withholding exculpatory evidence. But if we look at Andrew Weissman, he also attended allegedly, Hillary Clinton's party on election night. He was also very supportive of Sally Yates, who basically stated that she wasn't going to follow through with President Trump's orders. There's a long list of reasons why people should be concerned about the makeup of the special counsel.
And David Schoen, you actually met. We expect the Inspector General report by Mr. Horowitz to come out next month, maybe in a couple of weeks. You met with him, and you have actually spoken at length with law enforcement officials about the tactics of what the New York Times calls Robert Mueller's pit bull, Andrew Weissmann.
That's right. I met with the Inspector General a couple of years ago, actually, about a broad set of problems involving Weissmann and some of his colleagues in the Eastern District of New York that secured convictions of people who were not guilty of the crimes they were convicted of. And frankly, the evidence overwhelming that Mr. Weissmann knew that at the time. Can you imagine, though, I'm thinking as I'm listening to you, with the secrecy surrounding a warrant application to the FISA court, to have someone who's a fellow traveler of these folks submitting applications. We know something from the Nunes memo about what was omitted from those applications.
Yeah, it wasn't verified. And they didn't tell who paid for it, did they?
That's right. And we may know more. I know that Congressman Nunes and Congressman Goodlatte have asked the FISA court to provide additional information on the underlying documents.
Let me ask you this.
And the court...
Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was going to say, the court has said this is a novel issue. They want to think about it. But go to the Justice Department. We welcome the Justice Department to turn over those documents to you. So I think the problem is here, if you have a person with an agenda, like an Andrew Weissmann, who in the normal scheme of things, for example, in that Eastern District of New York court case that I told you about, in which the judge reprimanded him, suggested he should be sent for disciplinary action, that order was withdrawn at the request of the U.S. attorney, which I say gave Weissmann and his ilk license to continue with withholding evidence.
You can't withhold exculpatory evidence twice.
And you can't deceive a court and lie to a judge. And that is what appears to have happened at the hands of James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Rod Rosenstein, and Sally Yates. They signed off on the documents, verifying their truth and authenticity. It appears that that was all a lie, and that's 6 different felonies: perjury, fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, abuse of power. You go on and on.
All right, thank you all. Amazing. When we come back, I'm sorry,
let me
Michelle Malkin, straight ahead.
I just want to...
Mom and Dad got a new car. It's not theirs, it's mine. Mine. And it always will be forever and ever.
The new RX 350L with 3 rows for 7 passengers. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Since the beginning, man has been hunting the nutrients we need in a manageable form. Vitamins are traditionally packed with binders, excipients, less active ingredients, and excessive fillers. Now only the very important active ingredients are concentrated into Superior Source microlingual tablets. Soft molded microlingual tablets dissolve immediately in the mouth. The evolution of the vitamin is complete. Superior Source microlingual instant dissolve tablets. Ask for them at a store near you.
Diabetes can be a daily struggle, even if you're trying your best. Along with diet and exercise, once daily Toujeo may help you control your blood sugar. Get into a daily groove.
Let's go tonight. Share the spice of life. Baby, spice it right.
From the makers of Lantus, Toujeo provides blood sugar lowering activity for 24 hours and beyond. Proven blood sugar control all day and all night, and significant A1C reduction. Toujeo is used to control high blood sugar in adults with diabetes. It contains 3 times as much insulin in 1 milliliter as standard insulin. Don't use Toujeo to treat diabetic ketoacidosis during episodes of low blood sugar or if you're allergic to insulin. Get medical help right away if you have a serious allergic reaction, such as body rash or trouble breathing. Don't reuse needles or share insulin pens. The most common side effect is low blood sugar, which can be life-threatening. It may cause shaking, sweating, fast heartbeat, and blurred vision. Check your blood sugar levels daily. Injection site reactions may occur. Don't change your dose of insulin without talking to your doctor. Tell your doctor about all your medicines and medical conditions. Check insulin label each time you inject. Taking TZDs with insulins like Toujeo may cause heart failure that can lead to death. Find your rhythm and keep on grooving. Ask your doctor about Toujeo.
Go family. Go mom. Go dad. Go kids and grandma. Go early morning soccer practice and hurry scurry outings. Go play dates and movie dates. Go pizza pies. Go late night drives. The peace of mind that sets ADT apart is bringing families together. Now with ADT Go, the family mobile safety app and service. ADT, always there, now everywhere.
Page Six doesn't just know gossip, they invented it. From the famous to the infamous, we go way beyond the headlines, giving you a VIP pass into the hottest stories. Page Six TV, weekdays. Check your local listings.
Divided over labor's future. Union funding splits the Supreme Court. How should Gorsuch cast the deciding vote? The debate heats up. Next, Fox News at Night.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah. Hey Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Oh golly, here comes another season of Dr. Pol. Rampaging horse, seen it. Delivering baby cows, he did it last year, and he'll do it again. Even, hold on a second, why is there a wallaby in Michigan? Wow, okay. Looks like I'm gonna watch The Incredible Dr. Pol. New episodes, Saturdays at 9 on Nat Geo Wild.
All right, following Friday's special counsel indictment of 13 Russians, the liberal, mainstream, destroy Trump media went out of their way to attack the president, as they usually do, and cast an ominous shadow over the future of the Trump administration. Doom, gloom, hysteria, daily. And they've been wrong the whole time.
It's now obvious that the Russians were trying to interfere in our election.
Well, it appears the stress might be getting to him.
This is getting closer and closer and closer to the Trump inner circle. Are the White House staff getting more and more worried about that, or is this just Donald Trump freaking out about it alone?
It may just be Donald Trump freaking out about it alone, but his staff has to be freaking out about his freak out, right?
The big stuff is probably yet to come, and indeed, it does seem as though Mueller is just beginning to lay the groundwork, but stay tuned for more.
What concerns me is that Donald Trump seems to be more upset about the Mueller investigation and what came out from that this Saturday morning than these kids who were shot.
I think Trump's got some problems. I don't think Mueller would have taken the case if he didn't see a serious problem here.
Some of the dumbest people work in this profession. Joining us now, Michelle Malkin investigates CRTV. Michelle Malkin. Okay. Hillary Rodham Clinton paid for Russian and Russian government lies to lie to the American people in the lead up to the election. Then it wasn't verified. It was used to get a FISA warrant because they never told the judge the truth. And we have Hillary Clinton and Eric Holder, Barack Obama administration. We have Putin operatives involved in money laundering, extortion, kickbacks, and bribery. And they got 20% of America's uranium. Nobody in the media is telling their viewers about these important things. Why?
Because it doesn't fit their narratives, and they are going to go kicking and screaming like toddlers in a tantrum as long as they can to deny the truths that you are reporting nightly, Sean. And the reaction and the responses that you showed in the wake of this underwhelming indictment on Friday show that so much of the opposition media is part of their own 4-H club. You mentioned hysteria. Well, it's also hyperbole, hyperventilation, and also hypocrisy. Because when there are plain and obvious neon flashing signs and evidence of foreign meddling and corruption, not just the Uranian One deal, but so many others over the stretch of both Republican and Democrat administrations, this 4-H club of the opposition media has been nowhere to be found. And you have to have a little bit of historical perspective here, too, Sean. I mean, these are the same people that looked the other way at Walter Duranty and the clear and convincing and overwhelming infiltration of communist agents during the Roosevelt administration. These are people who have looked the other way at Saudi and Chinese and Mexican meddling in our elections. So the idea that they care now and are touting this indictment as somehow on the order of 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, as some of these more hysterical journalists have done, please. Their hypocrisy is showing, and it's the true colors of this media. They don't care about foreign meddling in this election. They care about bringing down President Trump.
You know, I'll give you, it's always been about that. You know what I've never understood about Mueller? One guy in the world, Julian Assange, he knows where he got his information from, doesn't he? In terms of the DNC. Now, if they wanted to find out the leak and where that, they would ask him. At least ask. At least try to talk to the guy. That's never happened. So what I see about Mueller is here you have all of this other evidence. Mueller was the FBI director when we had an informant inside of the actual operation of Vladimir Putin in this country. And the fact that the media is acting all surprised and feigning such moral outrage, it is just one huge, massive lie. It's not true, Michelle, because he got 20% of our uranium. How stupid are we that he got 20% of our uranium? We handed it to him, and we knew these crimes were committed on our soil, and they did nothing.
Yes, that's right. You know, in 2009, I came out with a book called Culture of Corruption, and I pointed to all of the ways in which Chicago and the Potomac and the Obama administration were endangering our national security, our public safety, every last pillar of civil order in our country. And I feel somewhat vindicated, but I'm not going to cheer about it. The deep state has posed the greatest amount of threat to the fabric of our nation, and we certainly didn't need 13 Russian trolls to sow that division and chaos, because so much of it, of course, has been advanced not just by the Obama operatives that remain in the deep state. For goodness sake, there are Clinton and Carter era barnacles still in that deep state and in Foggy Bottom and embedded in all of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies. But of course, the biggest sowers of division within American soil are those operatives in the so-called mainstream media.
So corrupt, and it's all boomeranging back. I said 2018 will be the year of the boomerang as it relates to these issues. Michelle, as always, thank you. When we come back, the Attorney General tonight made a huge announcement about potential Obama-era surveillance abuses. We'll explain straight ahead.
Land Rover, above and beyond.
Why buy the same old yellow box for hemorrhoids? Recticare Complete Hemorrhoid Care System has 2 effective medications. The strongest OTC concentration of lidocaine to relieve pain and itch, plus phenylephrine HCl to reduce swelling. Get more complete hemorrhoid relief with Recticare Complete.
For drug-free sinus relief, get Navage, the only nose cleaner with powered suction to flush out allergens, mucus, and germs.
I used to get so congested, but Navage cleans out all the stuff that makes me miserable so I can breathe again.
Now at CVS Pharmacy and Navage.com.
My name is Jeff Sheldon, and I'm the founder of UgMonk. Before ShipStation, it was crazy. Like, it's great when you see, 100 orders come in, but then you realize I got 100 orders that I actually have to ship out. ShipStation streamlined that whole process. The order data, the weights of the items, everything is seamlessly put into ShipStation. So when we print the shipping label, everything's pretty much done. It's so much easier. So now we're ready, bring on the orders.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to ShipStation.com/TV and get 2 months free.
Attention men with frequent urges to urinate. Super Beta Prostate has ingredients clinically tested to help reduce urges to urinate and waking at night to urinate. That's why it's the #1 best-selling prostate supplement in America. Don't wait. Try non-prescription Super Beta Prostate.
One, two, three. Listen.
The closer you get to home, the more you know the commute is worth it. For all the work you pour into this place, you sure get a lot more out of it. You and that John Deere tractor, so versatile, you can keep dreaming up projects all the way home. It's a longer drive, but just like a John Deere, it's worth it. Nothing runs like a Deere. Now you can own a 1E subcompact tractor for just $99 a month. Learn more at your John Deere dealer.
I got print, and I got 19 referrals.
I got 12 new students. I got 9 new listings.
I got print, and I got 500 business cards for just under $9.
GotPrint.com specializes in high-quality, full-color business cards at extremely affordable prices.
I love the quality of the printing and the savings.
Amazing customer service. You guys rocked it.
Order now and get 500 business cards for as low as $8.50. Go to GotPrint.com. Promote yourself.
Why buy the same old yellow box for hemorrhoids? Recticare Complete Hemorrhoid Care System has 2 effective medications. The strongest OTC concentration of lidocaine to relieve pain and itch, plus phenylephrine HCl to reduce swelling. Get more complete hemorrhoid relief with Recticare Complete.
Testing. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy.
The Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, made a major announcement yesterday in an interview right here on the Fox News Channel. Sessions told our own Maria Bartiromo that the Justice Department will be investigating potential FISA abuses committed by the Obama administration. Finally, take a look.
Are you, sir, investigating the fact that the FBI used the dossier to get a wiretap against Trump associates and they did not tell the FISA court that the Democrats and Hillary Clinton paid for that dossier?
Let me tell you, every FISA warrant based on facts submitted to that court have to be accurate. That will be investigated and looked at, and we are not going to participate as a Department of Justice in providing anything less than the proper disclosure to the court before they issue a FISA warrant.
Now with reaction from the Washington Examiner, Fox News contributor Byron York, former deputy assistant to the president, Fox News national security analyst Sebastian Gorka. You know, it's very interesting because we learned first, and we broke it here on this program, Sebastian, that Jeff Sessions never recused himself from the Uranium One issue, and a few weeks back, lo and behold, we had another indictment. Everybody thought that was a dead issue. I think Hillary's talking point is, oh, that's been adjudicated. Wrong. So that's ongoing, and he's saying here, I think what I'm hearing is if you lie to a FISA judge, you withhold information, a footnote that says it might have some political connections is not that the other candidate paid for these lies. So I took that to be a very serious shot across the bow.
Absolutely, Sean. So everybody's talking about the 13 indictments. Byron just wrote a very good piece about it. But the real story that we have to get to the bottom of are the leaks out of the White House. There are 27 referrals, criminal referrals at DOJ looking into the leaks, including the leak of the phone conversation between Mike Flynn and the Russian ambassador. Serious national security investigations. Secondly, Uranium One, absolutely strategic level. It's hard to imagine something larger than the sale of 20% of our uranium when we have laws on the books right now, Sean, that say America must be self-reliant on uranium. We must not import it from anybody else. And Hillary Clinton approved the sale of uranium as her husband was getting $500,000 speaking fees. So there's that. There's the Clinton Foundation. It's just the tip of the iceberg. These things take time, but rest assured, justice will be done.
All right, let me go to Byron. You had a great column out last night is when I first saw it. By the way, your website, the Washington Examiner's website, is horrible. I had to get you to cut and paste it and send it to me. You know, it's every time you click on it,
thanks so much.
Anti-smoking thing comes up again and again and again. It drives me nuts. But I want you to go through this because you're really saying, if you really look at the Mueller indictment, the way you're looking at it, it's not what people think, is it?
You know, I think you need to look at this indictment in conjunction with the testimony of Facebook and other social media executives on Capitol Hill a few months ago. There's a lot of stuff that they talked about that's not in the indictment. And what they basically talk about is some of the scale of this Russian operation. They talk about the Russians spent about $100,000 on Facebook ads. That compares to $81 million that the Clinton and Trump campaign spent on Facebook ads. They talked about how just 44% of those ad impressions, when they're up on a screen somewhere, 44% of those were before the election. 56% were after the election, where they obviously had no chance of influencing the election. And the amount of money that the Russians spent in some key states, because as you know, in the indictment, it talks about how the Russians became sophisticated. They learned what purple states were, and they were directing their efforts. In the state of Pennsylvania, according to Facebook, they spent $300. In Michigan, they spent $823, and in Wisconsin, they spent $1,979. The problem was, all but $54 of that was before the primary, not in the general election. So all of that is testimony that we had before Congress that's really relevant to this indictment.
Yeah, facts and context and texture mean an awful lot, except it doesn't fit a media narrative. That's great reporting on your part. Let me go back to you, Sebastian, because this is now what goes to the heart of this for me. Everybody so sanctimoniously and in their pompous arrogance talks about this Russian influence. Okay, we can't talk about Russian influence and ignore Uranium One. We can't talk about Russian influence and ignore the Hillary Clinton bought and paid for Russian government dossier, can we?
How can we ignore, again, we've got to stick to the facts of the matter. And the opposition research file that Hillary and the DNC paid more than $12 million for, one file, was used to illegally obtain a surveillance warrant against an American national during a presidential campaign. That's the enormity. It makes Watergate pale by comparison. It's a massive scandal.
Last word, Byron.
Well, I think we're just going to see more and more information about this. As a matter of fact, I think tomorrow we're going to see the House Intelligence Committee asking for more information from a variety of current and former officials about what did they know about this dossier? When did they first hear about it? When did they first learn that it was supported and bankrolled by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC? Because these are very basic questions, and we still don't know the answers to some of them.
Well, your reporting has stood very much independent and apart from the herd, if you will, of those that live in that media bubble. Thank you both. We appreciate it. Good commentary.
Thank you, Sean.
When we come back, Rush Limbaugh on what the Russia probe is really all about. You don't want to miss this. Next.
Introducing the new Infiniti QX80. Infiniti, empower the drive.
Wednesday on FX, the assassination of Gianni Versace, the compelling follow-up to The People vs. O.J. Simpson, takes the series to another level. Critics call it remarkable, ambitious and rattling, a gripping feast for the eyes. It's Ryan Murphy's masterpiece. Don't miss the first great show of 2018. The Assassination of Gianni Versace. All new Wednesday at 10 on FX.
It's what stands between the world and your eyes. A protective layer thinner than a human hair that keeps moisture in. This lipid layer can break down and cause dry eyes. That's why there's Soothe XP from the eye care experts at Bausch & Lomb. Only Soothe XP contains Restoral mineral oils. Soothe XP helps restore this layer, seal in moisture, and protect against further irritation. Ordinary drops can't do that.
Soothe XP works for my dry eyes.
Soothe XP, extra protection for dry eyes.
Hi, neighbor. You're selling your action figures. You love those.
Oh, my car needs a new window track and the dealer wants a fortune. Time for desperate measures.
Don't pay crazy dealer prices when RockAuto.com has all the parts your car will ever need at half the price. Here's your window regulator. Pick the brand, click Add Part. It's easy.
With Rock Auto's low prices, I can fix my car and keep my action figures. And you too, Buster.
Rock Auto. All the parts your car will ever need.
All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
Not guilty? New reports that Flynn might withdraw his plea. Inside the impact and what it could reveal. Powerful insight you can't miss. Only on The Story.
Did you know that every time you use the internet, you put yourself at risk? Not only can your internet service provider see every website you visit, hackers can see your transaction details. Strangers can monitor your children's activity. NordVPN uses military-grade security protocols that protect your information so no one can see what you do online. Protect up to 6 devices for just $4 per month. Don't risk being hacked. Visit nordvpn.com/TV today.
I won this 55-inch TV for less than $30 on DealDash.com.
I got this floor steamer for $1.74. What's not to love?
These aren't actors, they're real people who got real savings at DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site.
On DealDash, I got this $349 mixer for less than $25.
iPads sell for as little as $5, laptops for $10, and professional cameras for as little as $20.
I got all this great stuff for only $40.
I got all this for less than $50 on DealDash.com.
Try DealDash today. If you don't win, get your money back. But hurry, everything must go. Go to DealDash.com now to start bidding.
In my first 4 months on DealDash, I won 104 auctions.
And shipping is always free.
Visit DealDash.com and start bidding today.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
Rush Limbaugh sat down with an interview on Fox News Sunday yesterday where he had some very strong words about this Russian probe and what he believes is the real reason for this. Take a watch.
I think this is all politics, and it's, Chris, it hasn't changed from the get-go. It is about protecting Hillary and Obama. Obama is the primary person being protected here because all of this spying and all of this collusion to destroy Trump happened with his knowledge and probably encouragement. All right. And the reason Hillary isn't charged is because that would mean Obama would have to be exposed as participating in the scheme, too.
All right. Dead on. Former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino, civil rights attorney Daryl Parks join us. Daryl, does Russia involvement in the United States, does that bother you?
Without question, it bothers me, Sean, especially when they meddle with our elections.
Does it bother you that Hillary?
Does it
bother you that Hillary's campaign and the DNC paid $12 million for what turned out to be Russian lies to manipulate the American people before an election? Does that bother you?
If that's true, but I don't think it's true, though. I really don't think it's true.
Okay,
I think the key here, though, is the connection between the Trump administration and Russia.
The Russian dossier is filled with lies about Donald Trump. It was never verified and then used for a FISA warrant. Does that part of the Russia interference bother you, that she paid Russian and even Russian government sources for those lies? Does that bother you?
Well, it's not an issue whether it bothers me. The issue, though, is the indictment issues that were presented last week.
The issue is I'm trying to find consistent. Does it bother you that Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama's administration, that we knew Putin had operatives in America? Does it bother you that Putin and his hostile regime got 20% of uranium rights in America and that the Clintons got a lot of money back in their coffers? Should we be concerned about that Russian interference? Does that bother you?
Well, I think you got to prove what is the connection to the Clintons and the uranium money. You haven't shown that yet.
All right, uranium. Oh, yeah. Bill Clinton doubled his speaking fees, and all the people involved in the deal kick back money to the Clinton Foundation. Dan Bongino.
You know, it's awfully coincidental, by the way, that most of the people involved in the uranium one deal either paid massive speaking fees, and also President Clinton takes a trip over to Kazakhstan as a deal for Kazakh uranium takes place with a guy who later donates, by the way, a large swath of his proceeds over to the Clinton Foundation. But the hypocrisy on this thing is fascinating. We know the source of the dossier was the Russians and the Clinton campaign. Nobody's bothered by that at all. Yet in this case of fairy tale like Russian collusion with the Trump team, nobody can show you who the colluders are or how the collusion happened, and they're all losing their minds.
Now, isn't it interesting that the bank that's paying Clinton and that's connected to the Rosatom in Russia, their nuclear group that they have there, isn't it interesting they double Bill Clinton's speaking fee for that speech at that very critical time? That doesn't seem fishy to you? Does it not seem fishy to you that all the people involved in that deal in Canada, Frank Gustro, all these other people, that they were throwing money at the Clinton Foundation and they needed Hillary to sign off on that deal that gave Uranium One 20% of our uranium control to Putin?
I think you got to be careful, Sean. I don't think there's a connection.
What do I have to be careful about?
Right now.
I'm telling the truth.
Well, I think the problem, though, now are the connections that Mueller is finding between the Trump administration and Russia. That's the real issue.
You only care about, I think what I'm hearing is you only care about Trump and Russia. Do you have any evidence that you can tell Dan Bongino tonight, any evidence, any proof at all, of Trump-Russia collusion? It's been a year and a half. Give me the evidence. What is it?
I think the 37 pages of the indictment tells all the story we need to hear right now.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It speaks for itself.
Darrell, where in the indictment does it point to anybody who wittingly colluded? Wittingly means knowingly. Where does it say that?
What it clearly shows.
No. Where does it say that in the indictment? No. Where does it?
In the election.
Let me ask you. No, it doesn't say that. And as a matter of fact, Darrell, if you read line 53, are you a lawyer? If you read line 53 in the indictment, it says they supported groups. One of them was called "Support Hillary, Save American Muslims." Did you see that? Or did you miss that one? That's line 53, by the way.
Without question. I think the indictment clearly lays out who Russia supported. That's what it does.
Really? Through a Support Hillary group. How exactly did that happen? Did you read the indictment, or are you just making this up?
I read all 37 pages.
Wow, you must have missed that line 53, point 53, where it says Support Hillary, Save American Muslims. They supported that group. Did you see that one, too?
I think without question, for those people who read the document,
you keep saying that, but you must not have read the document. Yeah, support Hillary, save American Muslims. That's in the indictment, which you didn't read. And you say you did. Nice work, though.
I did.
Yeah, well, you missed line 53. Go check that out. Come back in another show.
Well, I think you got to read the whole document. I think when you read the whole document, it's rather clear.
Are we in bizarro Superman land? I'm telling you, it's in the indictment on national television. You think I'm making this up? Look it up yourself.
Well,
you guys want to have a bet on this? I'll broker it.
What it clearly says.
I don't want to take his money.
The thing is, if after 18 months, you can't give me any evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, can you?
Well, I think you got to be careful. You use the word collusion like the president does.
But that's what they're investigating for you. That's what the media's been telling us. Give me any evidence you got, whatever you got.
Well, I think you got to be clear. Collusion is not a legal term that would fit the situation as to whether there was a crime.
So the bottom line is you have none. You don't have any.
Well, but I think time will tell that I'm right.
But he wants a legal investigation. Right. It's what
our video of the day, the Hannity Hotline, will wrap things up. Coming up.
You won't see these folks at the post office. They have businesses to run. They have passions to pursue. How do they avoid trips to the post office? Stamps.com. Mail letters. Ship packages. All the amazing services of the post office right on your computer. Get a 4-week trial plus $100 in extras, including postage and a digital scale. Go to stamps.com/TV and never go to the post office again.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-650-4157.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-650-4157. Or visit SoClean.com today.
Just because you're cooking at home doesn't mean you can't travel the globe. Plated is the meal kit for people who love food, and our flexible plans fit every table and schedule. Our diverse menus include 20 globally inspired, chef-designed recipes and 2 delicious desserts every week. Get everything you need to make amazing dinners delivered in one completely customized box. From pre-portioned high-quality ingredients to easy-to-follow recipe cards. Get 25% off your first 4 orders at plated.com/25x4.
We use Angie's List because we can always find great local pros.
For any type of home project.
I use Angie's List if I need to find a plumber.
An electrician.
A painter.
I always use Angie's List because it's free.
It's free for me to read reviews written by real customers.
We can check their reputation to make sure they do quality work.
And now, to save time, Angie's List can actually match my project to a few qualified pros who can do the job.
To get the most reviews from real customers, all for free, go to angieslist.com today.
As a working mom, I'm thankful my mom is able to help out.
Awesome.
So I bought her the all-new Jitterbug Flip from Great Call. It's a cell phone she actually enjoys using.
Yeah, and from the T-Rex.
She loves it and takes it everywhere. It's so easy to use. And with a larger screen and bigger buttons, it's even easier to dial.
Let's send it to her.
There's also a 5-star button on the keypad, so I know she can always get help.
One touch of the 5-star button turns the Jitterbug into a personal safety device. In any unsafe or uncertain situation, you'll be immediately connected to a highly trained agent who can confirm your location, assess the situation, and get you the help you need.
Now it's easy for us to stay in touch.
What'd you say?
So cute.
Service starts as low as $14.99 a month. Plus, get 25% off at Best Buy, Rite Aid, or Sears.
Exclusively from Great Call.
Chris Domine is a husband, father, and athlete because a kidney transplant gave him a second chance at life, made possible by an organ donor. Imagine what you could make possible. Learn more and sign up as a donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Our principles, our values, our home.
There's not a country in the world like America.
Mark Levin champions our core principles. Now, he's bringing his dedicated doctrine to the Fox News Channel every weekend. Don't miss the premiere of Life, Liberty, and Levin Sunday on the Fox News Channel.
All right, time for a video of the day. So when you book a cruise for a family vacation, you expect what? Sun and fun and swimming, some tropical drinks. But you probably don't expect a massive brawl to break out, but that's exactly what happened on board a cruise ship in the South Pacific last week. And according to the witnesses, the massive fight, which spanned on and off for over 3 days, what are they doing? Involved 23 people. And guess what? They're all reportedly from the same family. And then finally, after 3 days of chaos, the cruise docked early in Australia, and police had to remove all 23. You can't make this up. Oh, time for the hotline. Let's see what you got.
Sean, all these jobs you have, paperboy, busboy, dishwasher, roofer, framer, plumber, on and on and on. You know what it sounds like to me? You couldn't hold a job.
I was so sick with the flu, but every day I watched your show, and every day you made me feel a little bit better. Watching you is the best medicine. So anybody with the flu, they need to watch you because you give us hope for the future. and we know we're going to be better.
Thank you. By the way, I started as a dishwasher, then cook, then busboy, then bartender, and then in construction I worked my way up. We'll always be fair and balanced. Let not your heart be troubled. Call us 877-225-8587. All right, Katie Pavlich tonight standing by. Hey, Katie, how are you?
Good to see you. Thank you. See you at CPAC later in the week.
I'll see my friends in CPAC this week.
Indeed. We'll see you there down in D.C. Thanks a lot, Sean.
See you then.
Welcome to the Ingram Angle from New York. I'm Katie Pavlich, in tonight for Laura, who's off for the holiday. We have a terrific show for you this evening, and the pressure is mounting on the FBI to explain how it failed to prevent last week's Florida school massacre. And President Trump lays into former President Obama for failing to stop Russian election meddling. Plus, political hackery meets presidential history. So-called experts in the New York Times say Trump isn't just bad, he's the worst president ever. But first, the fallout from the shooting at a Parkland, Florida high school on Wednesday that killed 17 people is turning into a student-led mass movement against guns. And now President Trump is signaling he may favor gun control legislation. Students are involved in the planning at least in 4 major upcoming protests, including a march on Washington next month. Parkland, Florida students who survived last week's shooting are taking to the airwaves to promote the new campaign.
The tragedy at Stoneman Douglas was not because of Stoneman Douglas. It was because people like Nicholas Cruz were able to buy these weapons. We're not going to let the 17 bullets we just took take us down. If anything, we're going to keep running, and we're going to lead the rest of the nation behind us.
Meanwhile, President Trump reportedly was moved by the sight of Parkland victims during a visit to the hospital on Friday and discussed gun control options with friends over the weekend. This morning, the White House announced the president supports legislation to strengthen the federal background check system. While the measure is relatively modest and not yet opposed by the NRA, it could be a sign of more ambitious gun control efforts to come. Let's discuss this with former House Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz and Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright. Jason, Congressman, you were in Congress for a long time, not too long, but long enough. What can you do, if anything, to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Well, I wish there was one thing we could do to make sure that it never, ever happens again. But I do like this idea of fixing the National Instant Background System. If you go to the website of FixNICS.org, you'll see that the Shooting Sports Foundation and others support this. I supported it when I was in Congress. It's passed out of the House, I believe, and it has bipartisan support. In the Senate. It makes sense. There are some people who can't distinguish between right and wrong, and they shouldn't be able to acquire a gun. I have a gun. I have 5 guns. I have a concealed carry permit. I am a member of the NRA. But people who can't make these types of decisions shouldn't be able to access a gun. And when this guy gets kicked out of school, obviously has problems, the police come to his house 30 times, there's a problem in him accessing a gun. And
just to give the viewers and the audience a little more context on what you're discussing with the Fix NICS program, currently it is not required by federal law that states input mental health records into the background check system, and mentally adjudicated or committed individuals cannot at this point buy or purchase a gun. It's prohibited. There's a question about it on the background check form when you purchase a gun. This legislation required that states do that, so there's not that gap in the system. But Antoine, you have a different take. You're going after the firearms rather than necessarily states inputting these mental health records. Why do you think we're in this position? And is blaming the NRA and accusing them of being on the side of murderers really forwarding this conversation?
Well, let me tell you where I am. I am on the side of common sense gun reform measures being implemented in this country. I have zero confidence in Washington, D.C., dysfunctional city to get this done. I think we have to lean heavily on local legislative bodies and even local governments, like here in Columbia, South Carolina, where I'm from, where the mayor and the city council in a very unified way banned the selling of bump stocks. But here's what I think. Keep in mind, it was this president who signed an executive order to reverse a decision that implemented by the Obama administration to take guns out of the hands of those who have mental illness issues.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's actually not true. What President Trump did was rescind an executive order by President Obama that said that Social Security recipients and veterans who wanted someone to help them with their finances were then deemed mentally unfit and therefore unable to pass a background check, and their Second Amendment rights were taken away with due process. So to say that he took something back that now enables mentally ill people to get a gun just isn't true. Jason, I want to go back to you. I want to go back to you real quickly. We've heard a whole lot about. We heard a whole lot about new gun control measures and people saying that this is an issue of making sure we take certain kinds of firearms off of the streets. There's also the other side of the argument that we haven't heard as much about. There are students in that school who don't like being sitting ducks. There are a number of teachers who are members of the NRA. There are a number of NRA members who have children who go to these schools who believe that they are soft targets and that things need to be changed. What do you say about school districts around the country who have decided to allow teachers to be armed inside of their classrooms?
No, look, you got some teachers that can't negotiate a Bunsen burner, so it's not for everybody. But I think these are soft targets. You got to be able to make sure that individuals can't get into that school in the first place. One of the reports we heard out of Florida is they had some bulletproof glass or some hardened glass, so he couldn't actually shoot out the window and shoot at students that were fleeing. But you're going to have a resource officer. Maybe it's a police officer who's on duty or off duty who knows how to wield a gun. And I do believe that certain teachers in certain places should and can be equipped. They do it in Colorado. They do it in other places. And I think it's a good idea for a lot of places. And by the way, Baltimore, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. have some of the most stringent rules and laws. Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. And they have some of the biggest problems with guns.
Anton, you want to respond to that? Is that an irrelevant point? Is that not a relevant point to bring up? And the fact that Chicago's had hundreds of murders in 2017, and yet it's not in the headlines every day?
It's the go-to Republican pivot talking point.
Is it not true?
Let me tell you what I think.
Is it not true?
But it's true. It's true, isn't it?
It's the go-to Republican pivot talking point.
Is it true or not? True or false?
But is it true?
Let me tell you what reasonable people want. They want to not have AK-47s on the street. A 19-year-old who can't rent a car or buy wine should never be able to purchase an AK-47. Reasonable people want to close the Charleston loophole. So for instance, my friend Clemente Pinckney, who was killed in a church here in Charleston, South Carolina, so that will not happen again. Reasonable people want to ban bump stocks. The reasonable things that people want to do instead of the traditional pivot to talk about Baltimore and Chicago the red meat talking points.
You talk about being reasonable. Is it unreasonable to think that places like Chicago and Baltimore that have all of the gun control legislation you could possibly ask for would not be the examples that we should follow considering their murder rates?
Sure, but here's what I would tell you. I'm not saying gun control is the all-out, be-out final answer, but I think it will be part of the solution to the problem in this country to prevent another Charleston, to prevent another Newtown, to prevent another Parkland, Florida.
All right, we've seen that hasn't worked, but Jason, last word to you.
No, hey, look, I would get rid of bump stocks as well, but there is a lot of education that needs to go on. But I own guns. I have a constitutional right to own guns, but there's got to be a way to find people who are mentally unfit to be able to. They shouldn't be able to purchase them, and if they run into trouble, then they should take those guns away. This kid should have never had it, and they got to tie all those loops together.
Right. Well, Jason, Anton,
you would agree that we do not need AK-47s on the street, right?
I think that's an overstatement of the situation, but thank you to you both for coming on the show tonight.
I do not
appreciate
agree with
it. Thank you. CBS is reporting the Florida Department of Children and Families investigated Nikolas Cruz in 2016 and found he suffered from depression, ADHD, and autism, and had even warned he planned to buy a gun. But the agency reportedly closed the investigation after finding no evidence he was being mistreated. Meanwhile, Friday's apology from the FBI isn't good enough for Florida Governor Rick Scott. He is now demanding the Bureau release all details on why it ignored 2 warnings about Cruz. Let's talk about that with retired FBI Special Agent John Iannarelli. Thank you so much tonight for coming on the show, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So the big question here is, how does the FBI keep missing these issues? We mentioned in the previous segment the Charleston church massacre. That was also an FBI loophole that was missed. How is it that this keeps happening? And in terms of the protocols that they talk about that weren't followed, can you give us some insight on what those things might mean?
Certainly. Well, first of all, it's tragic. It's inexcusable, and it's a terrible thing to have occurred. To draw the distinction, in the Charleston case, there was information that was not reported to the FBI. Hence, the FBI did not have it available to go back to the gun store and deny a permit. In this case, something broke down at the call center. Whether it's a technical issue or someone dropped the ball, But Director Wray has come out very publicly, not only in apologizing, but recognizing we need to figure out what went wrong so it never happens again.
Yeah, I just want to walk through the timeline again so the viewers understand the tips and when they came in. The first tip came on September 24th, 2017. The FBI responded by saying there was enough information. The person they were discussing wasn't identifiable, so they couldn't follow up on that lead. The second one came in on January 5th, where the man was identified. He said he had a desire to kill people, erratic behavior was reported, and his social media reports. And specifically, he said he wanted to conduct a school shooting. Now, this is the second tip that the FBI is admitting that the protocol was not followed through. So I think people really have a question about, it's one thing to miss the first one if there's not enough information, but how is it when someone specifically reports to the FBI that someone has said they want to be a professional school shooter, how that person is not at least paid a visit by the Bureau?
You're absolutely right, and that's the reason it needs to be looked at to see why. But let's remember, too, agents would have received this lead in Miami if it had been passed to them. They would have gone out and talked to this individual. Up until the time he actually fired shots, no crime had been committed. The best the FBI agents could have done was to speak with him. But it's his First Amendment rights to say things until he makes a very specific threat that is actionable and you can take him into custody.
Can you detail how specific the threat needs to be, though? Because when he is reported as saying, I want to be a professional school shooter, they know that he was expelled from a specific high school, that the police had gone to his home 36 times. That seems pretty specific. So how specific does it have to get before the FBI can do something?
Whether law enforcement on the local or federal level, the threat has to be something to the effect of, I want to go to school on this day and kill somebody, or I'm planning to do it on this day. I want to kill this specific person. The general statements of, I want to be a school shooter, believe it or not, is your First Amendment right. Now, if the laws are wrong, let the Congress, the legislature get in there and change those laws, giving law enforcement more power. But until they do, agents are hamstrung to do nothing more than knock on the door. And if he says, I don't want to talk to you, they have to leave.
But do you believe that a knock on the door may have at least been some kind of deterrent? It seems like this kid didn't think anyone was paying attention to him. He was very brazen about the things that he was saying on social media. Do those FBI house calls actually make a difference when it comes to deterring those kinds of crimes?
Knock and talks, as they're called in law enforcement, are done by all police agencies, and including the FBI. I've done hundreds of them in my careers, and agents do them every day across the country. Sometimes those people I spoke with went ahead and committed the crime anyway. Sometimes they didn't. We'll never know, but it's important that that mistake doesn't happen again. And Director Wray is assured he's going to find out why it happened and fix the problem.
Yeah, and just on one final note, Governor Rick Scott has called for Director Wray to resign. Many have said that's a bit of a step too far, but he also said, quote, people in Washington tend to want to investigate, hold hearings, and put off what truly needs to be done. Instead, someone needs to be held accountable. Do you think any kind of accountability is going to come out of this mistake?
Absolutely. There was a lapse somewhere. Whether it was a technical lapse, whoever maintains the system, that's an issue, or if it's a physical lapse in an actual person. But that's the whole point. The FBI is not interested in having hearings. They're interested in action. Fix that problem so that it doesn't ever happen again.
Okay. John Iannivelli, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
It may not be surprising that President Trump is blaming President Obama for not stopping Russian campaign meddling, but this is a surprise. One of the top Democrats investigating Trump actually agrees. Corey Lewandowski joins us to figure out what happens next.
Mom's got this cold. Hashtag stuffy nose, hashtag no sleep, hashtag mouth breather.
Just put on a Breathe Right strip. It instantly opens your nose up to 38% more than cold medicine alone. Go to BreatheRight.com today to request a free sample.
Do you have trouble falling asleep or wake up with a sore neck or headache? Then it's time you discovered MyPillow.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Just like you, I had problems sleeping. 10 years ago, I invented MyPillow. It took me 2 years to develop because I wanted to have everything you would ever want in a pillow. I made sure that you could adjust my patented fill so you could have the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of your sleep position. I also wanted a pillow that would last, so I made MyPillow machine washable and dryable. I backed MyPillow with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Not only that, I do all my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota. I personally guarantee that MyPillow will be the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own.
Call now or go to MyPillow.com. Use this promo code to save over 50% on a MyPillow 4-pack with 2 premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Order now.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
When it comes to travel, I sweat the details. Late checkout, down alternative pillows, and of course, price. TripAdvisor helps you book a hotel without breaking a sweat. Because we now instantly search over 200 booking sites to find you the lowest price on the hotel you want. Don't sweat your booking. TripAdvisor, the latest reviews, the lowest prices.
This is Fracture. Just upload an image, place your order, and it'll show up at your door, beautifully printed directly on glass. And this isn't just another frame, not just another canvas. This is new. This is a Fracture. Visit FractureMe.com and print one today.
Sometimes the messier it is, the more fun we're having. Just as long as it stays outside and doesn't end up in the truck. Husky Liners Floor Mats offers the ultimate in protection. They're precision measured to perfectly fit the interior of your floorboard. And the form-fit edge can contain a mess like no other floor mat on the planet. Plus, they come with a no-hassle, no-guff lifetime guarantee. So order yours today.
Husky Liners, guaranteed for life.
The Russian meddling. Inside the impact, the fallout, where it goes from here. House Intelligence Leader Devin Nunes gives us new intel into the case on a powerful Tucker Carlson Tonight.
Once you cut a tree down, what do you do about the stump? Grind it down with a DR Stump Grinder, the fast, easy, and affordable solution for stump removal. Thanks to the power of a world-class engine and carbide-tipped cutting teeth, the DR Stump Grinder tackles any size stump. With each pass, these teeth quickly shave the stump down, taking a remarkable 360 bites per second. In no time, the stump is completely gone. All that's left behind is a pile of wood chips. Get behind the power of a DR Stump Grinder to rid your property of tree stumps forever.
Call 1-800-716-0726 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. Learn how you can try a DR Stump Grinder for 6 months. With our special financing plan, you can own a DR by making low monthly payments. Free shipping is in effect, so call today. 1-800-716-0726. Online at drstumpgrinder.com.
President Trump is stepping up his attacks on President Obama following the indictment of 13 Russians and 3 companies for interfering in the 2016 election. Trump tweeted today, Obama was president up to and beyond the 2016 election. So why didn't he do something about Russian meddling? Top House Intelligence Democrat Adam Schiff actually agreed, acknowledging the Obama administration should have done more when it learned of Russian meddling in 2014. But Schiff disagreed with Trump's assertion that the indictments clear him of collusion with Russians. Rush Limbaugh says there was collusion, but not by Trump.
This is all politics, and it's, Chris, it hasn't changed from the get-go. It is about protecting Hillary and Obama. Obama is the primary person being protected here because all of this spying and all of this collusion to destroy Trump happened with his knowledge and probably encouragement. All right. And the reason Hillary isn't charged is because that would mean Obama would have to be exposed as participating.
All right, well, let's debate that with former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski and attorney Scott Bolden. We'll start with the point of agreement. Adam Schiff agreeing with President Trump that Obama should have done more. Corey, your thoughts on that?
I never thought I'd say it. I agree with Adam Schiff. He's correct.
And any expansion on what the president should have done, meaning President Obama, in terms of knowing about this in 2014?
Well, look, what we've seen from this recent indictment is that the government was aware in 2014, 16 months before Donald Trump ever got into the race, and the CIA director, the director of national intelligence, the president of the United States, and the former head of the FBI seem to have done nothing about it. And so there should be accountability on their part, because anybody who messed with the U.S. election system should be held accountable. And that administration did nothing, it seems like, to stop the Russians potentially meddling in our election system.
Now, Scott,
well, we certainly don't know what they did.
Sure,
did
but let's go back to the basics here of why the special counsel was appointed in the first place. The initial goal was to look and investigate at whether the Trump campaign colluded with the Russians to sway an election. So far, despite the 13 indictments we saw last week and the previous indictments of Paul Manafort and his business partner, we have seen no evidence of that collusion. So where do we go now with this narrative that Democrats and the media have pushed to tear the country apart over the past year on this Russian narrative?
Well, first of all, the special counsel, let me correct your premise, was to investigate Russians meddling in the election. One part of it was possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, because the failure to disclose and the other lies that were being told by those who were on the Trump campaign was problematic. And then you had the conflict, and now you got the special prosecutor. Secondly, the Republicans are the ones who are investigating Donald Trump and Russian meddling. They control the House, the Senate, and the White House. The head of the agencies, the head of DOJ, the FBI, who Donald Trump is highly critical of, are all pushing this investigation, and they are all Republicans. And so it's incontrovertible, as Mick Baxter says, that the Russians meddled in this election. And as we continue to get through prosecutions and investigations, we're going to find out what, if anything, Donald Trump or the people around him or in that campaign did to collude,
if ever,
or if not obstruct justice.
We're a year into this, and we haven't found any of that yet. So I'm just wondering where. Sure, but I'm just wondering where the evidence is.
Doesn't mean the investigation is over.
I'm just wondering.
You know what?
You know, where is the evidence on this collusion issue? Look, Corey, you were there on the ground. You say it was not something that was happening. The evidence doesn't bear out that it was happening. Can't we just move on with the business of the country?
It's very clear. I was there before Donald Trump ever came down that escalator. We never colluded with Russians. There was one campaign, and only one campaign, that has admitted to taking $5 million of their campaign money, going and hiring a British spy to go and put a false dossier together, and it's the Clinton campaign. Right. So there should be an investigation into Russia collusion, and it's the Clinton campaign and the Podesta team who took $5 million of campaign money and went out and put together a false dossier, which we now know was used to put together a FISA warrant to spy on an American citizen on U.S. soil. So there was collusion by the Clinton campaign. It's unequivocal.
Oh, but it is true. Why is it not true?
That is just not true.
Which part is not true?
I'll tell you exactly right.
One at a time.
Well, no, if they spent $5 million, I don't know what they spent, but they certainly
we know what they
spent money. Hold on, let me finish. They spent money on the dossier for sure. That was turned over to the Department of Justice, and here's where the GOP and Corey and others want to jump into conjecture, and that is that it was the basis of this FISA warrant. They lied to the judge, and therefore that's why we've got this investigation. That is completely false. You're jumping from one
all the way to 10 here. I don't want to tread over old ground.
Was in the FISA warrant or not?
I don't want to tread over old ground. I want to focus on this new indictment that came out last week on the 13 Russians moving forward.
You're guessing, Corey.
Go ahead,
and the rest of the GOP is.
Look, it's very simple. The Clinton campaign has admitted to going out to Russia and trying to dig up dirt on Donald Trump. They're the only campaign that took $5 million of campaign money and did this. The Trump campaign never spent a dime doing that. We never colluded with anybody. We never coordinated with anybody. We never contacted anybody. The Clinton campaign can't say the same thing. Those are the facts. And what we know is the document that they put together was, if not the basis for, at least part of the application for the FISA warrant, and that is illegal.
So let's go back to this. I just want to hold on. No. Hold on. I want to go back to this indictment that came out on Friday of the 13 Russians and the 3 companies and what that actually means. If you look at the effectiveness of this, Democrats have been focusing for a very long time on the fact that Russians were pushing out this propaganda and that possibly it would have changed an election. It would have changed votes. It would have changed people's minds in terms of what they were doing. But I want to point to this Weekly Standard piece that was out today, and they point out that a Trump rally regularly attracted 15,000 Floridians, whereas a fake Russian-organized Trump rally attracted only 15. And I also want to play this soundbite and this coverage from mainstream media outlets covering these fake rallies that were put on by Russians.
Right now, this is lots of different groups of people who have come together with no necessarily official leader, and that's been some of the criticism.
It's just enormous. I actually have been texting with the person, a 20-year-old college student here in New York City who organized this protest. I've been texting with him, and I said, are you impressed with the size? And he says it's amazing what the collective voices can spread in this protest.
Now, Corey, the interesting thing about that rally is it actually happened after the election. And if you look at what Facebook was doing in the ads that were purchased by the Russians, the majority of them were purchased after the election, which goes to show really they were interested in tearing the country apart rather than promoting one or the other of a candidate. Final word.
Well, and look, the Russian ads were about $46,000. They were disproportionately targeted to the District of Columbia, which is 95% Democrat, and the state of Maryland, which is not exactly a competitive state. So either they were completely incompetent, or they were working with the Clinton campaign to turn out her own voters in the District of Columbia and Maryland. So I'm not sure which one it was, but it's probably one of those two.
All right. Well, thank you both. We are out of time for this segment, but thank you, Scott and Corey. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Congress has put Dreamers into a legislative limbo after 4 immigration bills failed. But the administration doubles down on its vow to build the wall no matter what. We'll analyze the prospects up next.
The bladder control aisle. You won't shop here again. Your private business is your own. The constant struggle is over. Now there's a better way. It's HDIS. We home deliver bladder control products. We understand how you feel. For over 25 years, we've home delivered to many of the 20 million Americans who deal with incontinence. We offer all brands. We pay shipping and use plain, unmarked boxes. If we can help you or someone you care for, call for your free product sample pack and $45 in money-saving coupons. Our counselors will help you choose the right product. And unlike stores, we're always in stock. You'll get what you need. Satisfaction guaranteed. HDIS. The better way.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog, $45 in money-saving coupons, and free product samples, call 1-800-292-6580. That's 1-800-292-6580.
Okay, be good, kiddo. I gotta go to work. I love you. Bye.
Dog home alone all day? Who knows what they'll get into? A day without a walk is a sad day for your dog. But now you can make your dog's day with WAG, the on-demand dog walking app. Get a WAG-certified walker to walk your dog at a moment's notice. WAG walks are insured and bonded. And WAG walkers are vetted, experienced dog handlers who'll give your dog the affection and attention they deserve. WAG has live GPS tracking and will even tell you where your dog marks its territory.
My dog poop.
WAG, the #1 on-demand dog walking app. Get your first walk free when you download the app now.
What do you get when you cross your tired, aching back with this fragile egg? The Egg Sitter Cushion, an amazing new flex cushion that supports your backside and spine so well you can sit on an egg without breaking it. Incredible!
You want me to sit on this egg? Okay. I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't even feel it. It didn't even break? Oh, I was wondering about that. Now that's a good cushion.
Did it break?
No, look.
Oh my, that's crazy. Where do I get one of these cushions?
So say goodbye to achy muscles from sitting all day or a stiff back from long car rides. Now you can sit all day on even the hardest chair and still feel comfortable. Other cushions need a gap to cradle the tailbone, not Egg Sitter. The honeycomb design is constructed of Elasticor that absorbs pressure points by collapsing in on itself. That's why even this egg won't break under direct pressure. Now long days at the office will be more comfortable, dinner more enjoyable, and painful car rides a thing of the past. Plus, the Egg Sitter's Elasticor stays cool to the touch and allows air to circulate underneath, while giving you optimal lumbar support every time you sit. And it's super strong and durable, always retaining its shape. Amazing!
It's just super comfortable. I mean, it literally feels like I'm floating on air.
This feels like a massage. It's loosening me up just as I'm sitting here. It's amazing.
Woo, woo. I like that. I can sit on that all day.
Get your Egg Sitter Support Cushion for just $39.99. It comes with a free non-slip washable cover and our 10-year comfort guarantee. But wait, call right now and you can get a second cushion. Just pay separate fee. The Egg Sitter Support Cushion, just $39.99. Call now.
Call 1-800-709-1437. That's 1-800-709-1437. Call now or go to eggsitter.com. So call 1-800-709-1437. Order now.
Well, Congress is putting the Dreamers on hold, but Vice President Pence told Fox News the president will keep his top promise on border security.
President Trump made a commitment to the American people that we're going to build a wall. That means we're going to have a physical barrier. Once that funding is provided, we'll make the decisions, and I guarantee you this builder turned president will get that wall built faster than you could possibly imagine.
That comment, which aired on Fox and Friends this morning, was made during Pence's survey of the border with DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen and Ted Cruz on Friday. Today, Speaker Paul Ryan indicated the House won't look at immigration legislation until next month. DACA protections expire on March 5th, but Ryan seems in no hurry after the Senate rejected 4 immigration plans last week. Let's discuss where we go from here with conservative political analyst Carrie Sheffield and Democratic strategist Robin Bureau. Carrie, lay out where we are. 4 bills down. How many to go?
Well, I mean, who knows the number? But I mean, basically what we have right now is an obstructionist Congress. We have shutdown Schumer, who is more interested in putting the interest of foreigners ahead of the American sovereign people, ahead of people, the forgotten men and women of this country who put this president in the White House. Doesn't matter if you didn't vote for President Trump. The reality is the reason he won the White House is because of immigration. That was his signature issue. And so if Democrats want to continue to play obstructionist by blocking bill after bill after bill, they will reap what they sow come 2018 this November.
So, Robin, we've been through this before. My question for Democrats at this point is the president put a pretty generous offer on the table with 1.8 million DACA recipients or those who would qualify for DACA, not only to be able to gain legal status, but also to become citizens in return for the wall, which, by the way, Chuck Schumer voted for in 2006, the end of the visa lottery program, and the end to chain migration. Why is that not a fair trade? And now here we are down to the wire, and the Dreamers are in the middle.
Well, you know, it's interesting because you've got 2 different stories. But I paid careful attention to what Chuck Schumer said on the floor of the Senate the day after the shutdown. And he told us that he had a meeting with President Trump. And he proposed a budget that included the wall and with the dollar figure that Donald Trump himself gave him. And Donald Trump shut it out, and he shut that down and didn't do that. So that my point here is that we are willing to give him the wall. We just want to make sure that the taxpayers' money is being spent wisely and that we're good stewards of that money.
But what about the end to the visa lottery program, which we've seen has emboldened terrorists who have committed terrorist acts in the United States? Why that can't be part of the process? Why Democrats aren't into that? Can you explain?
You know, I wish I knew. I don't. I think that should be a part of the process. We've got work to do.
You are far too reasonable, Robin.
Carrie.
Well, and what about chain migration? I mean, that's the other issue here too. Like, why should the taxpayers? Why should American taxpayers, the middle-class families, the forgotten men and women of this country, be subsidizing? You know, the National Academy of Sciences found that 58% of immigrants who have children are taking welfare. Why should middle Americans be forced to subsidize foreigners who feel entitled for us to pay their tax money? Now, Robin, I'm sure you lock your doors at night. I'm sure you do. And it's not because you're a cisgendered, heteronormative, patriarchal, white supremacist racist.
Right.
I mean, like until the left learns to stop using this hateful rhetoric that dehumanizes people who have legitimate economic concerns, you're going to keep losing.
But Robin, on the point of the DACA recipients, they're not just mad at Republicans. In fact, they have put their fire towards people like Nancy Pelosi when she got surrounded at that town hall last year in San Francisco by people demanding that they do something. They're pretty angry that the Obama administration didn't do this when they were in the majority. So what about the electoral prospects for Democrats when it comes to this issue, considering there have been offers on the table from Republicans to give amnesty to these recipients, but from a Republican president and a Republican House?
Yes, I understand. But I want to point out, like I said, this comes to fiscal conservancy, and I know that sounds crazy coming from a Democrat.
Yes,
but the
does.
CBO has already issued a statement saying that for the cost of maintaining this border wall, we could replace the entire thing every 7 years. What we are alleging is that this is from a cost-benefit analysis, not the smartest way to secure our borders. It should be done with technology, with drones, with sensory devices, with increased personnel. I know this was a signature piece. I know that we're going to have to concede on it, but it's
well, they want $30 billion, which includes the wall and all of the things that you just discussed. But we're going to switch gears here. We're going to switch gears here to politics on a different note.
Okay.
We have our Utah resident, or former Utah resident, here in studio. Mitt Romney is running for the Senate.
Yes,
President Donald Trump has officially endorsed him tonight on Twitter. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think, thank goodness, I love to see the Civil War ending because I love Mitt Romney. I used to work for Edward Conard, who was a former partner of Bain Capital with Mitt Romney, a major donor for him when Mitt ran. So I'm totally in the bag for him. I love Mitt, and I am so glad to see the Civil War, knock on wood, ending. And I was glad to see that, Mitt responded to the president's tweet. And I have to say, I think that this was part of the condition to see Orrin Hatch retiring, that he would say, okay, look, let's just call a truce here to say, okay, there might be some legitimate policy disagreements here, but let's stop with the name calling on all fronts here. And I think that's the problem.
Speaking of name calling, Robin, Democrats are already attacking Mitt Romney. Despite him being more of a middle-of-the-road moderate. In fact, some would say liberal on the issues of health care. Why is that?
Oh, God, that's a tough one. And I just hate, I want to say this. I really want to say that I just hate how partisan the politics are becoming right now. I really don't like this us versus them. Mitt is a good candidate, and I'm glad to see that they were able to set aside their political differences. And I just wish that we could have more of that. Just what's
Robin,
good for the people.
Robin, then why don't you talk to the Democratic National Committee or the DSCC, which put out a press release going at the throat of Mitt Romney?
I
applaud you.
I think we'll end on the positive note of you both saying you're happy to see the Civil War end. Robin's happy to see that us versus them end. So we'll end on that note of unity and happiness. So moving along, thank you both for being here. Appreciate it. The economy is roaring back to life. ISIS is militarily defeated in Syria, and the Trump administration is just getting started. So guess where a New York Times poll of so-called experts ranks Trump among all presidents? Up next, we'll explore their alternative universe. Stick around. You'll love this or hate it.
For singing, definitely dry mouth has been a problem for me. I'm also on a lot of medications that dry my mouth. I just drank tons of water all the time. It was never enough. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to continue singing. I saw my dentist. He suggested Biotene. It feels refreshing. My mouth felt more lubricated. I used Biotene rinse twice a day, and then I used the spray throughout the day. It actually saved my career in a way. Biotene really did make a difference.
Why should your business build a modern software factory? The new demand. Think about it. That retail store can't compete with this retail store running on an automated supply chain, analyzing trillions of actions to customize an experience, which now takes Bitcoin. But come on, you've got this, right? You're ready to compete, right? Well, TikTok, my friend, who's going to help you supply this new demand?
since FDR. I mean, JFK's first year was a disaster. He changed on the Bay of Pigs, and it turned out poorly. He did a poor job of preparation for Vienna. Nikita Khrushchev misunderstood it. He showed weakness that led to a nuclear confrontation. Reagan is one of America's greatest presidents. His first year, he was shot, and the only thing he got passed was price supports. He got a tax deduction, but the big tax reform, that came 5 years later. So Donald Trump, what he's done in 1 year, wiped ISIS off the maps of the Middle East, turned this economy around. It's shooting off like a rocket. It's a remarkable first year.
Yeah, well, this actually reminds me, remember when President Obama was given the Nobel Peace Prize before he even came into office? This is like that, but in the complete reverse. Can you give us some more context, though, on how presidents are judged, not in the time necessarily that they are in office broadly, but historically how things change, the context of our times, the results of the actions that they take in office, and their long-term implications?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to tell you that they have some refined metrics on judging these presidents. They want to know, do they have soaring rhetoric? They want to know, have they scrambled the executive branch, created new offices in the executive branch, or moved the cabinet offices around? They want to know, have they presided over a popular war and won it? They have all of these metrics, but I want to tell you this, Katie, they cheat.
Oh, do they?
Cheat because George W. Bush can sign off every one of their little boxes, and they rate him as a horrible president. Those metrics just don't hold up. They just don't work.
Well,
if you want to see a top 10 presidents, go to YouTube and look, top 10 presidents, Doug Weed. I just put one out that worked 2 years on it.
Well, you have written 30 books as well, so that's very impressive. One final note, though. This survey obviously comes at a very partisan time in our country, which is probably a reflection of the results. But what can you say to those who are looking at this in terms of having some patience with the process and judging history, not just in 13 months of time, but in the broader aspect of the country?
Yeah, you know, history will grind up all of this bitterness and meanness. And
thank goodness.
Trump will stand on what he's accomplished, and if it's good, it'll be good, and all the people that love Trump can rejoice. If it's bad, then all the people that love Trump will be sad. But history won't be fooled.
Well, I love the line, history will grind up all of the bitterness. So thank you, Doug Weed. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Katie.
Have a good one. Thanks. President Trump throws down the gauntlet on Oprah over a 60 Minutes report. What it could mean for a 2020 showdown next.
It's 6 a.m. 40 million Americans are waking up to a Gillette shave. And at our factory in Boston, more than 1,000 workers are starting their day building on over 100 years of heritage, craftsmanship, and innovation. Today, we're bringing you America's #1 shave at lower prices every day, putting money back in the pockets of millions of Americans. As one of those workers, I'm proud to bring you Gillette quality for less, because nobody can beat the men and women of Gillette. Gillette, the best a man can get.
If your credit card debt is out of control, if you're in over your head in monthly payments, there's a secret the credit card companies don't want you to know. If you have more than $5,000 in credit card debt, you have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. That's bad news for the credit card companies, but it's great news for you. We're Credit Associates, and we're offering you free information on how to virtually eliminate your credit card debt with a monthly payment you can afford. To see how much you could save, call now. 1-800-617-2977. Don't declare bankruptcy. Don't consolidate. Give us 10 minutes and we could save you thousands. After all, we depend on your success and offer a guarantee so there's no risk. Credit Associates. Live better, debt-free. Find out how easy it is by calling now. For the secret the credit card companies don't want you to know, call Credit Associates now and see how much money you could save for free. Call 1-800-617-2977.
Divided over labor's future. Union funding splits the Supreme Court. How should Gorsuch cast the deciding vote? The debate heats up. Next, Fox News at Night.
1000bulbs.com is the
place to go for lighting fixtures and bulbs where the price is low.
I love their selection.
I save money buying online.
I can help and give suggestions.
I'll get your light bulbs there on time.
It's the #1 place where lighting is sold. We ship within 1 day. We're 1,000 bulbs.
Visit 1000bulbs.com/Hannity.
Looking for a safer way to burn yard waste? Stop. Don't burn in a rusty barrel like this. Burn the safe way with the Burn Cage. It doesn't just burn, it incinerates, leaving nothing behind but fine ash. And when you're done, the Burn Cage folds up neatly for storage.
For a free information kit about the Burn Cage, call 1-800-731-6693. That's 1-800-731-6693. Online at burncage.com.
Dinner time is definitely the most stressful time of my life.
Simplify your life with Crock-Pot meals exclusively from Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks has created gourmet meal kits straight from your freezer to your slow cooker.
All you have to do is put it in the slow cooker, turn it on low, and come home to a house that actually smells like you were seriously cooking.
All of these meats are so tender, if it was on a bone, it would be falling off the bone.
Order the Omaha Steaks Crock-Pot dinner deal for only $69.95. This special combo price includes 3 complete slow cooker meals. That's $5.83 per serving. Plus, order now and we'll include 4 beefy top sirloin steaks and 4 premium Omaha Steaks burgers free. That's a $233 value. Try chicken and dumplings, beef bourguignon, rustic Italian beef stew, Cuban mojo pork, white chicken chili, plus seasonal meals and more.
I knew this was going to simplify my life.
Simplify dinner with the Omaha Steaks Crock-Pot dinner deal, plus 4 free steaks and 4 free burgers. Go to omahasteaks.com and type dinner deal in the search bar. Order now.
Well, Oprah Winfrey denies she's running for president, but she almost seems to be doing opposition research in her current gig as correspondent for 60 Minutes. Oprah grilled a panel of 14 voters in Grand Rapids, Michigan, about the president's performance on the broadcast last night. See if you can spot any anti-Trump bias questions.
Who here believes that he made the comment about, quote, whole countries?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think he made the comment.
You think he made the comment?
Yeah, I think he made the comment. Yeah, I think all presidents have made it a comment behind closed doors, and it wasn't reported.
You think all presidents have used the term?
Yes, I do.
So polls are showing that respect for the United States is eroding around the world. Do you care what the world thinks of the United States?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I feel safer now than I ever did the last 8 years of Obama. How do you feel safer? God. Tell me how you feel safer.
Was quick to respond, tweeting, "Just watched a very insecure Oprah Winfrey, who at one point I knew very well, interview a panel of people on 60 Minutes. The questions were biased and slanted, the facts incorrect. Hope Oprah runs so she can be exposed and defeated just like all of the others." Let's discuss this with Monica Crowley of the London Center for Policy Research and liberal analyst Julie Alvin. Thank you, ladies, for coming and joining me tonight. Monica, she says she's not running, but she's in Michigan.
Well, she does have